Now, with Sean Marash.
I will punch you in your stupid face, and I hate the Knicks. I hate their fans.
And Pat Boyle.
That's probably why I'm not a GM in the NFL, but if I was, I would probably take a huge swing on Michael Penix.
Turning your faith into fortune.
Few things in the gambling world I can't wait to bet more than the Jets under right now.
While serving up hot cakes and hot takes.
If Chet Holmgren was on that team, he's probably putting up better numbers than Wemby.
It's BetQL 5-Star Weekend, presented by BetMGM.
Yeah, good morning, North America. Sean Morash, Pat Boyle. It's BetQL's 5-Star Weekend for the sports fan, the degenerate, the casual gambler. Anybody out there joining us, welcome aboard. It's August 4th, the year 2024. You're set up for 3 hours or 20 minutes or 5 minutes, however you choose to spend with us for the next portion of our show. Thank you. You're set up for a fun little morning here. I'm Sean. He's Pat. Pat, what's up, bro? Good morning.
How you doing, Shawnee? Great to see your face. Great to be with you as always. I just got to say, what is this thing you've been doing where you're saying the year, like it's August 4th of the year 2024, like you're Mike Francesa or something? I think everybody knows what day it is.
Well, not if you're listening to us, Pat, in an ever-evolving media landscape on podcast form. So, hello, I've learned that this is something you should continue to do in any show that's podcastable. Ironically, Mike Francesa was ahead of his time. It didn't matter then. It actually matters more now. That's all. You know, you may tune in and go, oh, wait, I'm listening to the wrong date. Maybe it was Tuesday and they're going back and listening. All these bets are worthless because these guys suck. Then it's a good trigger for them.
All right, that's a fair point. I'll give you that one.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So, real quick, before we get into the sports takes for the day, you could always watch us, twitch.tv/BetQL, and our wonderful crew behind the scenes, whether it's Amir, whether it's Dan, whether it's Kenny Gunnar Henderson. Thank you for keeping us up. But if you want to watch us, I get into lazy mode every Sunday. I usually am wearing the same either black or white t-shirt. Today, I actually am wearing like a little Kenny Chesney themed shirt, but it's still white. And I looked up, but Pat Boyle always ups the fashion for us, except I'm noticing Pat is wearing the same U.S. Open rainbow sprinkle shirt that he wore last week. So now he is setting us back and keep wearing the same shirt on camera for the Twitch audience. Pat, thank you very much.
Was it last week or was it 2 weeks ago?
Oh, it was. No, it was last week.
Are you sure about that?
I only was sure about that because a little inside radio for the audience. Somebody came up to me and was like, hey, why is everybody always making fun of Pat Boyle's glasses? I said, well, have you seen them? And I went back to our clips from last week, and there were your glasses, and there was that exact shirt that I noticed. And I said, look at this freaking shirt this guy's wearing. And this was on Friday, and now I'm waking up to the same shirt.
Okay. All right, maybe it was last week. Insider radio for you. I was down the shore, Long Beach Island, LBI with my family, and I packed, I would say, minimal clothes for the 2 weeks I was there. Now, I did come back to work at WFAN in New York a couple times, so I did, interchange, grab a couple different, just shorts, underwear, socks, and I did wash this when I was down the shore. So it is washed, but yes, I guess if you're right, if you're saying you're going back clips from last week, and I'll double check in once we hit our first commercial break. But yeah, there's a chance that I've now worn this 2 Sundays in a row. Well, I guess that's why they call it your Sunday best.
Yeah, you sure will. Okay, now we got plenty to get into today. Look, later on in the show, you're going to listen to hour number 3. I'm going to set you up with a parlay. Pat's got a beef bet. Who the hell knows what the hell's going on with that? We got degenerate bets for you as well. We're going to sprinkle in some bets throughout the show. A lot of football conversation. We have a preseason game in the books as well. Some injuries have popped up, including Justin Herbert. We're going to cover that all, how it affects your futures, your current bets, and just good old-fashioned sports talk, having a good time for the next 3 hours. But each and every hour, if you're a new listener, we start you off with either a hot take, which is an opinion on the week in sports, or a hot cake, which is a bet you should be placing. Without further ado, it's hot takes and hot cakes.
People, boy, do I need some hot takes and hot cakes. Pat Boyle and Sean Marash, give it to them.
Patrick Boyle. You know what? I've done enough talking, Pat. Why don't you start us off with your take of the morning?
My take of the morning? You want my take of the morning, Sean?
Well, I asked for it. So do you not have it prepared? Is that what happened?
No, I do. I just want to revisit. Okay. I want to revisit what the argument we had last week was. And that was regarding the Olympics. And I'm all
Yeah.
jacked up for the Olympics. I was fired up for it. I was pumped up for it. I have watched it every night and most of every afternoon too. Before I leave for the beach, when I was down the shore, when I come back and I catch the end of the action for the day around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then watching it on tape delay, prime time in Paris, which I thought NBC did a pretty good job for the most part, knowing that they barely had my beloved tennis on, which we'll get into a little bit more, by the way, because right now you got the rematch, Alcaraz Djokovic in the gold medal match. But Sean, we had a big argument because you basically said the Olympics suck, and I just after watching the Olympics every night, knowing that it was on delay, understanding that, and having seen some of the things I'm watching on delay one or two times, having watched it live 4 or 5 hours before that, I can't say how wrong you were and how wrong you
Oh my
are
God.
at the
Wait,
Olympics.
can we call a timeout on the show?
Sure.
Can we call a timeout on the show?
I'm not. I have a different take, but I just want to revisit last week's take to start the show, and a week later tell you how great the Olympics have been.
I'm calling a rare timeout to the show right now. Okay. So how this show works is we have a Google document. Okay. We are in 2 remote locations as we do the show. And me and Pat really don't like talking a lot pre-show because we want our opinions and that, arguments to come out. Pat, I didn't look at anything you put on the sheet because I actually filled out portions of my sheet to kind of tip you off before you did. I want you to go to my hot take for hour number 2, please. Just look at my hot take for hour number 2. And I want you to read it to the audience. And this is a little preview of what's coming up in hour number 2. What does it say?
Yeah, it's about the Olympics.
What does it say? You can tell them the hot take. I'll revisit and explain later.
I've been right about the Olympic disinterest. It's given us nothing as sports fans.
I didn't know you were going to come out of hour number 1 saying this. So there you go. I already disagree, and I'm going to prove you right in hour number 2. Now, this isn't your take in hour number 1. You just wanted to tell me that and then set up a take?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Because I wanted to give you something about the men's basketball Olympics, which I think even folks that may align with yourself that have not been able to get into the Olympics so much, but fans of the NBA, fans of basketball, I think this is something that they could definitely get on board with because we're about to start the quarterfinals for the men's basketball Olympics on Tuesday. So
yeah, minus 550 to win the gold, by the way, for those interested. Yeah, laying a lot of pepper there.
Yes, and that is why I said last week when we were talking about, we were talking about the Olympics and we were talking about men's basketball and how we were going to be looking for any angle to kind of bet against Team USA, right? Like that's the sports books, BetMGM, everybody else was going to make us want to bet against Team USA any way we could. And you and I both took Serbia in the first game, and the USA clobbered them. They covered the 13.5, the 14 points. And, we both lost. And then USA went on to not cover against South Sudan again, not cover against whoever the Puerto Rico. They were 34.5-point favorites, I believe, against Puerto Rico. They only ended up winning by, 20 or 21. And now USA, like you said, is still around the same price, minus 550. They were minus 500 pre-tournament. And I am once again going to bet against Team USA. Even though we both agreed that we thought USA was going to run away with this, that they were going to win the gold medal almost going away. It was going to be domination for the most part. And for the most part, it has been. Right? I mean, the closest game was supposed to be against Serbia. They won it by like 20 points. And they've won basically every game by about 20, even though it was kind of underwhelming against South Sudan and Puerto Rico. But I'm looking at the Germans at plus, I believe they're plus 800. At least when I checked late last night on BetMGM. Team Germany, plus 800. They have not lost yet. They've got plenty of NBA players. Dennis Schroeder, who, I mean, again, not a more than anything but mediocre NBA player at this point, but he's been playing his ass off. You got the Wagners, Franz and Mo, Isaac Bonga, Danny Tice. I mean, they've been playing some really damn good basketball, and they're undefeated. And I just want to say this. If Germany goes up against Team USA, of course, we should win. We've got everybody, we've got the best players on the planet, basically, with the exception of 3-4 guys. But we should steamroll almost everybody in our path. But if there is a time to put just a couple of dollars on anybody but Team USA, because again, do not bet Team USA at minus 550. Do not bet Team USA at minus 500. Even if they get down to minus 400, it's not worth it on the futures market. If you want to bet Team USA, bet them on a game-by-game basis. They got off to a slow start yesterday against Puerto Rico. They were down 5 at the end of the first quarter. That would have been the time to hammer them live on the spread. But again, knowing that Team USA is probably going to win this, And you could say, as a bettor, well, Pat, why are you betting something you don't truly believe? Because I think these odds are ridiculous in a 40-minute game. If Franz and Mo Wagner catch fire for, one half, if Dennis Schroeder turns back the clock a couple of years, you got a chance for an upset. And at worst, you've got a chance where if I'm going to place a bet by the end of today, before the quarterfinals begin, on Team Germany around plus 800 to win this tournament, I've got a chance that if they face Team USA and it's tied at the half, or Germany's got a lead early third quarter, then you've got a chance to hedge out of that futures bet. If it's the gold medal match and Team USA is playing Team Germany, and I'm 99% sure, I'll double check the bracket, but I think that would be the gold medal match. They would be lined up on opposite sides of the bracket. Germany against USA, at least you've got a chance to then hedge in the final if you have an advantageous position. But Team Germany, plus 800 for the talent they've got. They've looked great. They haven't lost. Team USA, not impossible to think that they could be in a close one down the stretch in a gold medal match. So yes, Sean, I am once again betting against Team USA, even though you and I both acknowledge that they most likely will run away with the tournament. But at plus 800, it's a little bit too good to pass up. So give me the Germans.
Come on. I mean, Pat, I understand what you're saying. Let's calm down. Franz and Mo Wagner are not Jordan and Pippen here. I mean, let's calm down a little bit. I understand the odds, the juice. There's a reason this is minus 550. This is like taking a flyer on another guy to win MVP other than Ohtani or Judge and hoping somebody breaks a hip. I mean, geez, you just made the German team out to be the Nuggets of 2 years ago. Let's relax a little bit. But okay, well, I'm not going to rain on your bet. You gave it out to the audience, and there you go. My hot take for hour number 2 is actually a hot cake as well. It's the futures thing. And I'm starting to really settle in on kind of my NFL win totals. I've watched the Hall of Fame game, and I understand you can't take a lot out of it. Starters aren't playing. But it really sets up with a team that we're going to get to know up close and personal beginning Tuesday night. Hard Knocks training camp, the Chicago Bears. We have danced like bears, like a country jamboree. Jamboree? What was that movie with the Bears?
Jamboree?
The country jamboree? Yeah. We've talked about the Bears more than most people should ever talk about the Chicago Bears in the lead up to the season. I feel like, Pat, they've never been an overarching big story for us, but because of Caleb Williams, it's fair to say we've done however many shows since football season ended. Chicago Bears come up at seemingly every other week, for even if it's something small. Is that correct? I mean, I don't know. That's kind of the sense I get when me and you were talking. And there's a sense of relevancy, as Kenny puts out. I'm not telling Bear fans not to be excited for the future. Even if I don't believe in Caleb Williams, well, what the heck does that mean? I believed in Josh Rosen. So plenty can go right for the Bears going forward in the future. But we are thrusting the Chicago Bears, and they've set up Caleb Williams to succeed, the wide receiver core and everything. Matt Eberflus is still coaching this team. And when I look up and down the schedule, I think we've got the division, the Lions and Packers should still be pretty good, even if they're not the 49ers. I have a hard time finding a path for the Chicago Bears to win 9 or more games. And 9 wins could get you that last wild card. And the fact that I'm staring at an over-under total at 8.5, I feel like we keep mentioning this, but it's time to officially hammer this home on hot cakes. The Bears aren't winning more than 8 games this year. And don't get fooled. Colin Johnson put on a show in the Hall of Fame game. He did this a couple of years in a row with the Giants, and we felt, oh, look, this could be a big-time receiver. He'll make the team. You'll hear goo-goo gaga about that. This is still a bad head coach. This is not a Bears defense of old when you think of Chicago Bears defenses. And Caleb Williams is going to have rookie moments and rookie mistakes, and doing that in a big market. Just because he has 3 really good receivers, one of which is on his last legs in Keenan Allen, doesn't mean we're jumping to put the Bears as a 9-win team in the NFL this year. They're going to have a couple moments. There'll be a game or two where you're like, wow, Caleb looks like there's a reason he should be the number 1 overall pick. And then there's going to be moments where you go, if you thought Caleb was going to stink, wow, I was right. He has bust potential. That's the kind of team they're going to be. And overall, that kind of team with that many questions and a head coach I don't believe in, that is not a team that's finishing this year with a winning record. I'm sorry. 8.5 on the under could be, and this is where I become hot takey, and I understand I say a lot of things, it could be the most trustworthy over-under total bet you could place in the NFL this year, where it just feels so confident that that number is way too high for the Chicago Bear team. Under 8.5, lock me up, sign me up, please, throw away the key.
Yeah, I mean, I am speaking of lock me up, throw away the key. I am lockstep with you, Sean. I mean, you mentioned the thing too about Matt Eberflus, because I want to start there before we head to break here. I mean, last time we looked at the odds for Coach of the Year, and I believe he is still right at the top. For who who does believe in Matt Eberflus? Like, who thinks this guy is a great coach after watching so far what he has done in Chicago and say, yeah, you know what? All of a sudden, I think he's going to be a great coach because you know who I compare him to? Robert Saleh. Nobody really believed in Robert Saleh. And now that Aaron Rodgers has come to the Jets, it's all of a sudden that, like, do people believe that Robert Saleh is a good coach? Nothing has changed about that. So nothing should change about the way we look at Matt Eberflus just because all of a sudden that is GM Ryan Poles put a good team together and put the prospectus number 1 overall quarterback. But I agree with you. I don't believe in Caleb Williams. There's probably going to be a couple moments where we think he looks great, but there's probably going to be a large amount of plays and games where he probably doesn't play that well. I agree with you. Under 8.5. I don't know if it's the lock of the year in terms of over/under, but I like it.
Yeah, and you're going to find out Eberflus is an idiot starting Tuesday night on Hard Knocks. All right, when we come back, anybody else worried about the Chargers? That felt ominous Friday. We discuss when we get back to Sean Morris, Pat Boyle, 5-Star Weekend presented by BetMGM.
BetQL 5-Star Weekend will be back on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM. Our weekend on the BetQL network. Presented by BetMGM.
BetQL's 5-star weekend. I'm Sean Morash. He is Pat Boyle. You know, I hate this portion of the football season. I don't hate it. I mean, it's a ramp up to the season, but I hate when we get the injury news. And for those of you who are listening, whether you're in the car, sometimes on social media, whenever you get bad news, you gasp. I've learned in recent years working sports radio how when that Schefter or Ian Rappaport tweet comes up in August, it is always a hold your breath moment. And we had two of those moments this week with quarterbacks in the NFL. And you don't want to see quarterbacks go down, especially as the league continues to expand games, 17 games. I think it's pretty obvious at some point it's going 18 games. These guys got to be on the field. And backup quarterbacks are more important than ever. But I don't want before the year starts to know I have unwatchable games in front of me because a quarterback is basically done for a significant amount of time. And let's just start, before we get to the lesser with Seattle, the Chargers. We get the news Friday. Justin Herbert is going to go in a boot with a plantar fascia issue. Plantar fasciitis, whatever you want to call it, depending on where your accent is. It's like a foot injury, but it never goes away, essentially, for months, is what I've learned, whether it was watching football with my own guys having it, Madden. I have the privilege of working with Tiki Barber every day. More on that later. And, he talks about, guys who've had this. I know my own quarterback, when I was a Giant fan, Eli Manning had this. He was not the same for a whole year. I say this to say, when I see Schefter's tweet come up, Pat, and it says, they're hopeful he could return for the season, but he's basically going to be shut down for the rest of camp. And they're hopefully he's going to be ready to start the season. I look at this, and I'll be honest with you. If Justin Herbert starts the regular season and he's just in a mode where we're going to play through this and let it rip, this is something that will linger with him all season. So whether he misses games or not becomes irrelevant. What I'm telling you is I don't think we will see the perfectly comfortable, and especially because it's on his plant foot, Justin Herbert this year. Now, how much of that could he play on one foot? I mean, we'll find out how great he is. But I suddenly, if I was teetering in what's a tough AFC on the Chargers and Harbaugh's first year and thinking he can get the most out of a team, I heard he had questions at the receiving core, and it looks like they're going to try to run the ball, offensive line. It's impossible for me not to be down on the Chargers in a loaded AFC. I think this injury is going to ultimately be a big deal, Pat.
I don't think it's going to. I think we freaked out about Dak Prescott going into a walking boot a couple of weeks ago.
But we know what this is. That was a foot strain. We know that this is plantar fascia. We have evidence that this really does affect players constantly.
Okay, but what was the timeline that was basically given out? That he's going to be 100% ready to go by week 1. It's August 4th. He's got a month.
No. They didn't say 100%. They said ready to go. I don't think he's going to be 100% all year is what I'm telling you.
You think this is going to end up because it's not going to be 100% by week 1, and then he's going to play on it every week, and it's going to linger, and it's going to be with him the entire year?
And he's not going to be the same player this year. Yep.
All right. Well, I disagree. I mean, again,
you're allowed.
We're going to be like two doctors going back and forth with you here, but he's going to have a boot on his foot for approximately 2 weeks. All right. So that puts us at August 18th. So the boot is off, and that gives him, they're going to ease him back into it. So that gives him, again, basically a month to be as close to 100% as he can be. Now, you think this is going to linger with him all year? Okay, that's definitely a conversation, and that's definitely a fear and a concern for Chargers fans. I would agree. But I would also agree that Justin Herbert, if this really does bother him, I mean, my man just got paid last year. What motivation, more so than just the general motivation an NFL quarterback would have to play and to win football games, what extra super motivation does Justin Herbert have where he's like, you know what, I have to play through this plantar fascia. We have a Super Bowl window here. All the there's no expectations on the Chargers this year. Well, maybe there's some. I wouldn't say there's none, but I would say they were a borderline playoff team, and it's year 1 under Jimmy Harbaugh here. And the receiver room's not great. I mean, they've added 2 perennially hurt running backs in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. I wouldn't be, if this does, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to try to diagnose how good the foot is going to be. You think it's going to linger. If it does, and if it's a problem, there is going to be a point where Justin Herbert probably sits out a couple of weeks. but I just don't ultimately think it's going to be that bad. I think he's going to be fine. I think this Chargers offense is going to struggle just because it's an offensive line that struggled last year. It's a wide receiver room that the two greatest names are Josh Palmer and Ladd McConkey right now. So we'll see what Jimmy Harbaugh can get out of Justin Herbert and this offense. But ultimately, as it's been the last couple of years, it's going to come down to this defense. It's going to come down to this Chargers secondary. It's going to come down to the guys on the defensive side of the ball staying healthy, because they have not been able to the last couple of years, especially Joey Bosa, and they've got Khalil Mack. So yes, there's a lot of firepower on that defense. I'd be worried about that more so than Justin Herbert. I think he is going to put up similar numbers to the numbers he's put up so far in his short career. I think he's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it.
All right, well, that's fine. But I will fast forward to week 1 with you. So if you think it doesn't affect him in the regular season, last year, and and Kenny's just said this in the chat, my point to the Raiders in LA week 1 is a revenge spot for the Chargers. The Raiders put up 63 points. Remember that Thursday night game, Easton Stick stunk? Stunk.
Yes.
I look at it the opposite way. There is mojo and there's a little bit of spunk to Antonio Pierce coaching the Raiders. That team's fired up to have him back. What happens from the second half of the year on if they kind of fall out of it? Do they trade Devontae Adams? To me, that's all stories for October. But every year, when we put on our fat pants and we sit down to blow through wings and Miller Lights like our hair is on fire because we can't believe that week 1 of the NFL is back, every year we go to our phones in the apps or we're in our knockout pools, and every year there's like 2 to 3 games where you're like, oh man, I should have thought about that and I didn't see it coming. I think the Raiders right now, plus 148 on the money line, getting 3 points at the Chargers, where there will be a zillion Raider fans at that game, because there's a zillion road fans everywhere. Antonio Pierce with the team all revved up for a week 1. And either Justin Herbert off of no camp in week 1 versus a fired up Raider team that's going to play well on defense, or Easton Stick, who basically went in a diaper on Thursday Night Football, will be playing in that game. So even, Pat, if you don't want to believe that it's going to linger all year, I sit here today and I'm looking at week 1 on August 4th, and I love the Raiders, baby. I love them plus 3. And I think I'm going to sprinkle on the money line. And here's the other part of this. I extremely rarely would caution anybody, hey, it's August. I keep saying the date. Pat hates this. August 4th. Go to your phone right now and bet week 1, because a million things could happen, right? Injuries, this, that, the other thing. But here's the truth. We don't know ultimately if Justin Herbert will play that game. Maybe they don't like the progress and he doesn't. If Justin Herbert's not starting that game, that's the Raiders flip-flop and favored by 3 in that spot. That's not getting money and juice on the money line. So if you are like me and you like the Raiders, even with Justin Herbert, who, again, I think we have enough evidence to think he definitely won't be fully healthy week 1, or at the worst case, even if he's magically fully healthy, will be extremely rusty with a lack of reps leading up to week 1. I don't know how you don't sprinkle it on and protect yourself now with the Raiders. Granted, we don't even know who's starting the game, but it could be Aiden O'Connell, could be Gardner Minshew. That actually doesn't matter to me because I think that either one of those guys is at least capable of winning a game like this versus the Chargers. I think the Raiders, I could already see, the Gatorade dumped on Antonio Pierce, his first week 1 win. I mean, it just smells like a million Raider fans in LA. I love the Raiders week 1 as it stands right now, Pat.
I do agree with you on that week one spot. And I just want to say, Shawnee, really quickly, we've been doing this show together, you and I now, since February, 6 months.
Yeah.
We're on month 6. And the schedule will flip back to normal Sunday mornings once football starts. But you remember in April, May, June, even early last month, where you and I were just sniffing, begging, starving for some football. And now we've got legitimate reason, like you just gave out, to place a wager on a week 1 NFL game. We are almost there.
Back.
And I disagree with you in my thinking, in my opinion, that Justin Herbert, this plantar fascia will linger with him and it will affect him. I think he is going to prove that he is a top 10 quarterback in football, despite being a 500, having a 500 record, if not a little bit worse than that now. But I do agree with you. Week 1, if there's a spot where the Raiders can get him, and he's slow out of the gate because he basically was MIA for training camp physically. Again, of course, Jimmy Harbaugh, full steam ahead. He's prepared. He's in the training room. He's in the meeting room. He's all that stuff. Yes, but physically, he's a little slow out of the starting gate. That is definitely a spot where the Raiders, and like you said, what is home field advantage to the LA Chargers, especially the Raiders used to be in Oakland, quick trip from Vegas, ton of fans. It'll probably be as many black and silver as there are blue and gold.
Yeah.
That is definitely a good spot where the Raiders +3 is a good look right now. And then, like you said, anything that could happen in the coming month, either better or for worse, but it would probably only enhance the odds or enhance the chances that the Raiders win that game. So, you're getting me psyched up here, man. That is a tremendous breakdown by you for that week 1 matchup here with this Herbert stuff.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. It's been a hot summer, and I'm a hot boy summer. I love summer. Give me as much pool time, beach time as I want. I don't know what about this summer has got me. Maybe it's the offseason hard knocks with the Giants. Maybe. I'm a sucker. I'm a homer. I'm like really stoked for football. Usually I'm like, take your time, football. I don't need the pumpkin beers. I don't need everybody with their BS with their hoodies and all this other crap. I want to be in tank tops, farting out hot dogs from here to Kingdom Come, swimming laps like Michael Phelps. But something about this year has tickled my undercarriage so much and so dearly that I cannot wait for football this year. I'm so stoked for it.
Is it mostly because of your Giants fandom and you think Malik Neighbors is going to be the best receiver and his best player on either team? I think that's what you said earlier this week in New York.
It's funny, man. It's funny. I did say that because I don't think the Giants are winning more than 7 games. I think they're going to go 7-10. I think they're going to shut down Daniel at the end of the year for the injury clause, similar to what Denver did with Russell Wilson. I think they're going to have a Denver Broncos-esque year from a year ago. But I am, I love my wife. Beautiful woman, outkick my coverage. I am so beyond horny for Malik Neighbors. I mean, he just looks so good right now in training camp. I'm pumped. I mean, I think he's going to be an absolute stud and an absolute playmaker, and I can't wait to watch the Giants look like they can score on any given drive for once in my lifetime. So I really can't wait for that.
But also, you're admitting that you think they're going to go 7-10, and they're going to shut down Daniel Jones to release him and cut him after this year, and then move on. Either draft another quarterback, which good luck doing that. If you're 7-10, you're going to have like the 13th pick. So they're going to have to trade up.
Thing. They're going to trade up. They're going to trade up. I think there's going to be less thirst for the quarterbacks. So they're going to move heaven and earth to trade up.
You're going to have to trade up in a weak quarterback spot, and you're not going to get Shedeur Sanders. So they're going to take a big swing
Carson Beck.
Yeah, on Carson Beck.
Or Quinn Ewers.
Okay. Future's real bright. Future's real bright for the Giants post Daniel Jones.
I like Carson Beck, but I'm more of a Quinn Ewers guy, but I digress.
I love Amir Tyree, producer in the chat, says it's about Theo Johnson this year for the Giants after Sean put him on our Olympic flag football team last week when we drafted an Olympic flag football team. You put Theo Johnson as your tight end.
It's funny you say that because Sports Illustrated did a little, they're doing the visits to all the camps, and this is not New York bias. This is obviously Sports Illustrated, and Sports Illustrated's big takeaway. Did I send it to you guys?
I don't think you did.
2 days ago it was written. So they do a whole, the Sports Illustrated does all the long form stuff. And they get to the best thing I saw. Can anybody see that on my screen? No. I don't know. And who is that?
Theo Johnson.
The best thing Sports Illustrated saw at Giant Camp, Theo Johnson. 4th round. He was just drafted. You saw him on Hard Knocks. There are people around the NFL keepers in Giant Camp who believe he's Travis Kelce and that the Giants have the steal of the draft. So we've seen these guys drafted mid to late rounds to tight ends. I was ahead of it. I'm allowed to be right on takes for once. When I drafted Theo Johnson as my flag football tight end, that is another part of this. They're going to have Malik Neighbors and Theo Johnson out of the same draft. Theo Johnson is the next Sam Laporta, George Kittle, any of these guys who weren't, big time picks. And the Giants now have got that guy. And I know that breaks a lot of hearts.
I just want to say this.
Hurts a lot of people.
You're making me want to bet the Giants under right now because now Malik Neighbors is the greatest player in New York football. Better than 2 All-Pros, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson.
He is.
It's Brees Hall. He's better than them.
He is.
Now Theo Johnson is the next Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, and you think Daniel Jones is good, and somehow the Giants with the next Travis Kelce with one of the best receivers in football immediately as a rookie, they're only going to win 7 games. Something's not adding up there, Shawnee.
I'll tell you what's not adding up. I'll tell you what's not adding up. Cornerback room's a disaster. This team's going to lose a lot of games 41-35. So that's all. That's all. Bet a lot of overs in Giant football games.
The Giants, who have maybe scored 30 points 3 times in the last 6 years, they're going to lose a lot of 41-35 games.
I mean, when you have 2 guys like that, when you have basically Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce on your team, which is what they're building right now, or like the Lions did, what are you laughing at?
We got to go to break, but this is good stuff, man. I didn't know you'd make me laugh this hard today.
All right. Look, you got to see it to believe it. We'll be back next.
BetQL 5-Star Weekend will be back on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM. Welcome back to BetQL 5-Star Weekend on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM.
It's BetQL's 5-Star Weekend. Kenny, more on that question later. BetQL's 5-Star Weekend presented by BetMGM. I'm Sean Morash. He's Pat Boyle. A lot of fun. Pat seems to be in a little fun, jokey mood today. And I like it. I like when we get that out of Pat. You poke him in the belly button, he says something funny, you make him laugh. It's great. It's great.
Well,
We've had a lot of fun
again,
talking
you're
football.
basically you're labeling Malik Neighbors as the next Tyreek Hill and Theo Johnson as the next Travis Kelce. And you think Daniel Jones is going to be good, but yet you're telling me that the Giants are only going to win 7 games. They're going to go 7-10, and they're going to sit Daniel Jones at the end of the season so that they can cut him without having to risk him getting hurt and paying him an extra like $20 million.
Hold on. Go
ahead.
I'm not telling you Daniel Jones is going to be some kind of great quarterback. And I'm so sick and freaking tired. Every year we do this with players. You know, guys are allowed to be middle of the road, and we could just say they're middle of the road. Like, I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be some kind of good, great quarterback. I think he's going to have enough there with Malik Neighbors where his stats are going to get inflated because he hasn't had a player like that for sure. I think Theo Johnson eventually becomes that type of guy. I think he'll have a sneaky good year one, but I think that kind of player takes time. He's still a 4th-round pick. Doesn't mean he's going to burst on the scene, start dating a pop star, and spike footballs in your face all year long. I think Daniel Jones is going to be very middle of the road, ho-hum, healthy enough, maybe misses a week or two with a sprained ankle again from his running, and then they shut him down at the end of the year, okay? God forbid I don't have an extremist take on the New York Giants. Jeez.
I heard Wan'Dale Robinson and Jalen Hyatt are going to be all pros as well this year. And Allen Robinson is going to have a rejuvenated season and catch.
No, Allen Robinson not going to make the team.
He's going to catch 48 passes and 5 touchdowns.
No, but Wan'Dale's good.
But you know what I think. By the way, what did you think? What did you think of Madden making Daniel Jones the 33rd ranked quarterback in the game with a 71 overall?
It's a joke. The game's a joke. It's a joke. The idea that Andy Dalton's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. I ask anybody this, and it's the truth. If you say no, you haven't watched enough football, and that's fine. I get it. Watching games isn't for everybody, or at least intent. Some of you just like sitting there watching Red Zone. You can't figure it out. If Kyler Murray or pick a Baker Mayfield played with 2 tackles when Andrew Thomas went down, who couldn't even play in the NFL, and didn't have a number 1 wide receiver like Mike Evans last year. Are those guys having better years or better careers than Daniel Jones? No, they're not. Situation does matter. 2 things can be true. He could both be a mid quarterback and be completely upended by a system. He is right in that 16 to 23 range. And it doesn't mean he's great, but the idea that he's the 33rd, get serious. Can we just calm down? People they just go through. What did this guy do to everybody? Did he take a robin's nest of eggs and then egg a house on Halloween, and now everybody thinks he's some kind of criminal? People gotta calm down.
That there's I can't remember, and jog my memory if I'm wrong here. In the last 5 years, 10 years, let me know the last time a quarterback in the NFL got 6 years. 6 years as the starter and won 1 playoff game. 1 playoff game.
It's funny you say that.
And struggled to stay
healthy. If it wasn't for Evan Ingram, he's in another playoff game. So what are you going to do? And it's not all his fault.
Struggled to stay healthy, and then we still wonder or not whether the guy is good, or we still wonder why he's still getting chances as the starting quarterback when
he also had his best year. He also had his best year in a contract year where the GM smartly only gave him a 2-year deal, which we're seeing the 2nd year of it. So, by the way, he's also the 17th highest paid quarterback in the league. So everything has been actually fundamentally sound the way they've handled it.
But you're asking why are so many people angry that Daniel Jones is continuing to get chances? Again, name me one other quarterback that is now getting a 6th year to prove whether or not the franchise should trust him to be the quarterback of the future. Where we're seeing the rest of the league, even with rookies that they draft in the 1st round, it's like 2 or 3 years, and that's, hey, we got to make a decision on this guy. Justin Fields.
And I think that's also a problem.
Zach Wilson was an easy one with the Jets, but Justin Fields. What do you mean? Kenny Pickett got what, a year and a half, basically?
Yeah. And Jones is better than all those guys. So what do you want me to tell you?
6 years?
I don't know what to tell you. He also did something in the playoff game that no quarterback's ever done in NFL history. So that's where it comes with the extreme. Can we move on? I'm really tired of talking about Daniel Jones.
Because you know what I think is at the core here for you, big Giants fan?
I'm just so tired of being right so often.
You're tired of being right? As we get closer and closer to football, you and I have about a month left of doing these 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern shows here on Betql before they turn things over to Nick and Ken every Sunday morning. And as we get closer to week 1, Giants football against the Vikings, and as we get closer to locking in some futures bets, you think the Giants are going to win 7 games, and yet you've hyped up Theo Johnson, you've hyped up Malik Neighbors, you're hyping up Daniel Jones, probably not to, like I said, where he's a great quarterback, but you're probably giving him more hype than he deserves. You know what I think? I think you're a Giants fan that knows that this could be another disaster of a year, and yet you want to believe so badly, but you know that they're probably going to underachieve and fail and miss the playoffs. Which, like you said, but you're then giving yourself that comfort of saying, ooh, 7-10. Because you want to believe that they could be a playoff team.
They won 6 games with a harder schedule last year and 3 quarterbacks playing. So now somehow winning 7 games is a magic jump? What are we talking about?
I think you think the Giants can make the playoffs this year, but you're too scared to actually say it. So you're sitting on that comfort of saying, oh, they're probably going to win 7 games.
They could. You never know. Speaking of great quarterbacks, Eli Manning is up for Hall of Fame induction this year. And now it's time to, look back. Yesterday was Hall of Fame inductions. Really, really great, great moment with Mongo McMichael yesterday. Saw the clips of that. I got to be real with you. That was the only clip I saw. I didn't see a single induction speech yesterday because, Pat, as time has gone on and I've gotten older, it's kind of funny. The more players I've watched get in the Hall of Fame that I've watched their whole career, the less interested I am on a beautiful summer Saturday to sit there and watch Hall of Fame speeches. But I didn't watch any of it other than that yesterday. But still, Hall of Fame debates are always there. There are guys that have been passed over for the Hall of Fame that have been eligible for at least a year, if not more. And they sit there and they watch and they watch and they wait and they wait. Now, I ask you to rank 5 through 1 the guys who should be in who haven't gotten in yet. Let's go.
I'm ready. Start. Okay. Yeah, we'll go tit for tat how we normally do with these rankings here. We'll go 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. All right, so I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to go ahead and give you, right out of the gate, looking for my list, a receiver that, honestly, and maybe he shouldn't be 5. Maybe he should be higher up on my list. I'm going Torrey Holt. I don't know how Torrey Holt's not in the Hall of Fame. I don't know how he didn't get in this class. I mean, he could get in next year. I don't know how he didn't get in this class. I mean, again, we were talking about it before. I think we were talking about it in the break. Guys that, if you watch most of their career long enough, you can kind of, just say that guy should be a Hall of Famer, that guy should not be a Hall of Famer. But then when the numbers lend to the argument, it makes it even more of a reason, a head scratcher, why Torrey Holt was not in this year's class of the Hall of Fame. 7-time Pro Bowl, All-Pro, first team in 2003, second team All-Pro in 2006. Torrey Holt, 920 career catches, over 13,000 yards, and 74 touchdowns. How on earth is this man not in the Hall of Fame? Super Bowl champion, had some big time playoff games in the short span where St. Louis, where the Rams were making the playoffs in the early 2000s. I mean, we're going to get to a couple other receivers here that are even more of a head scratcher, so I don't want to go too over zealous here, but I mean, come on. That's a snub. Torrey Holt not getting in this year's class of Hall of Fame, that to me is a joke.
So for the sake of saving time, Torrey Holt's number 2. That's how high up he is in my list. It's incredible that he's not in. I truly believe, and I've seen some great ones, at their peak, there was no better duo of wide receivers I've seen with my own eyes that were, oh my God, how do you stop these guys, than Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt. Think about everything you think of the Miami Dolphins now with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, or insert, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and put that, for the lack of a better term, I don't mean this literally, on steroids. That's what Isaac Bruce with Torrey Holt was. Isaac's gotten in. It's time Torrey got in. Kind of snaking it around here. My number 5 is Steve Smith Jr., right in that list. I didn't even realize Steve Smith was eligible already and has been eligible. The guy was a do-it-all return man and then became just an elite receiver, small body. I cannot believe Steve Smith Sr. is not in there. That was my number 5, Pat.
Yeah, number 4 for me, Rodney Harrison, longtime safety for the Chargers and the Patriots, and I can kind of see where he doesn't get in this year's class of Hall of Fame, but there was a lot of guys that just kind of get into the Hall, get into Canton just based off longevity. And you want to talk about a guy that played 15 years and was healthy for them. I mean, there was a couple. I think there was 2 or 3 seasons where his seasons were cut short. Or he missed more than half the season, but for the most part, a guy that played every single Sunday. Growing up, early 2000s, watching him every single Sunday, watching him just make some big time interceptions. Hard hitter. Doesn't have the decorations of other guys in the Hall. 2-time Pro Bowl, 2-time All Pro, 2-time Super Bowl champ. So I can see how he's not in yet. But I mean, just based off the longevity and the fact that he was always a top 10 defensive player in the league during the peak of his career, that I think alone was enough to get him in.
Yeah, I'm a Rodney Harrison guy. I also go by the mantra, can you tell the history of the game without him? And you can't tell the history of the game without Rodney Harrison because he's the reason a helmet catch happened because he didn't know how to tackle David Tyree. Number 4 for me is Randall Cunningham. Another guy, by the way, can you tell the history of the game without Randall Cunningham? Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick don't exist without Randall Cunningham in the nature of the idea of the black athletic quarterback that's going to run all over the place and be impossible to game plan for. And Cunningham did it at such a high level for so long. How many kids in Philadelphia grew up wanting to be Randall Cunningham? I love Randall. Hated that he was an Eagle. When I was a kid, Randall Cunningham was everything. Now, again, the stats don't match up necessarily, but you also have to compare era to era. If Randall Cunningham was playing today, he's probably a slam dunk MVP candidate year in and year out and a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, we're running out of time here, so I'm just going to go ahead. I'm not going to give you too much reason, but Fred Taylor, number 3, longevity, again, doesn't have massive eye-popping numbers, but over 11,000 yards, 66 rushing touchdowns. He's one of the best running backs, I think, of the early 2000s.
Yeah, and number 3 for me was Antonio Gates, dunking on the poles. How does he not get in a Hall of Fame? A revolutionary tight end. We'll give you our top 2s when we come back, plus our hot takes and hot cakes. What a first hour. A lot of animosity, a lot of laughs, a lot of giggles. Please stay tuned for more. BetQL's 5-Star Weekend presented by BetMGM.
BetQL 5-Star Weekend will be back on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM. Today's service starts now. With Sean Marash.
I will punch you in your stupid face, and I hate the Knicks. I hate their fans.
And Pat Boyle.
That's probably why I'm not a GM in the NFL, but if I was, I would probably take a huge swing on Michael Penix.
Turning your faith into fortune.
Few things in the gambling world I can't wait to bet more than the Jets under right now.
While serving up hot cakes and hot takes.
If Chet Holmgren was on that team, he's probably putting up better numbers than Wemby.
It's BetQL 5-Star Weekend, presented by BetMGM.
We do. It's BetQL's 5-Star Weekend presented by BetMGM. I'm Sean Morris, along with Patty, Jeffrey D. Boyle, and we have fun every single Sunday. We've already had a good first hour, a lot of football to get into. Pat, for the audience just joining us on the 10 a.m. hour, bid them adieu.
Yes. How do you do, Shawnee? We got to finish off our
Yes.
Hall of Fame snub list here, and then
Let's
I got
do
a
it.
live bet that is in the oven. It's just about ready to come out of the oven. I'm ready to fire off a live bet here.
All right, so let's go. For those that missed it, we're ranking the snubs that deserve to be in that have been not the ones that are about to be eligible for the first time, like an Eli or I guess a Kuechly. We're talking about the ones who have been on these ballots. My 5 through 3 was Steve Smith Sr., Randall Cunningham, Antonio Gates. Boyle's was Torrey Holt, Rodney Harrison, and Fred Taylor. Because he was already mentioned in this list, my number 2 is Torrey Holt. I alluded to that early on. Greatest show on turf. I mean, Torrey Holt, you close your eyes, that's a Hall of Famer. Pat had him ranked a little lower. Top 5, we both believe these guys ultimately probably should be in. So my guy was that number 2 there, Pat.
Yeah. And that's a good one because I had him at 5, and I kind of like as I was going through it, I was like, how is this guy not higher up on my list? And I basically was like, yeah, he should have been higher up on my snub list because he probably should have been higher than Rodney Harrison and Fred Taylor. But I don't know if he should have been higher than Reggie Wayne. And I got Reggie Wayne as number 2 on the 2024 NFL Hall of Fame snub list because he's got better numbers than Torrey Holt. And then so for me to think that Torrey Holt should have been in the Hall of Fame and think that that's a snub, Reggie Wayne is absolutely a snub. I mean, you think of it basically Peyton Manning's entire career, and it's Reggie Wayne, Peyton Manning to Reggie Wayne, Peyton Manning to Reggie Wayne. The guy had 1,500 yards in 2007. He had, how many straight years here was this? 7 straight years with 1,000 receiving yards or more. That's just, it's longevity. The guy played every single game, basically, of every single season from 2003 to 2012. You talk about a decade of not missing a single game. 14,345 career yards, over 1,000 catches, 82 career touchdowns. Plus, Reggie Wayne was an absolute animal in the playoffs. In that Super Bowl winning game in 2006 and in those playoffs, he had 2 touchdowns, 9 career touchdowns in the playoffs. The guy did it in the biggest moments. The guy did it in the Super Bowl. The guy did it for a decade straight of not missing a single game. Reggie Wayne, big-time snub, not being in this year's class.
I did not include Reggie Wayne, and I don't have a defense of that. Reggie Wayne should be in the Hall of Famer. Should be a Hall of Famer. And it just shows you there should be more than 5 guys. But I'm with you in lockstep. He didn't make my top 5, but he's right there. Number 1 for me is a guy I work with every day, and I don't care. Call me Homer again. It's Tiki Barber. There are 3 people in NFL history that have 10,000 yards rushing, 5,000 yards receiving, and 1,500 yards in the return game combined, kick and punt. 3 guys. Their names are Marshall Faulk, Marcus Allen, and Tiki Barber. Tiki Barber is right there with Marshall Faulk and obviously Marcus Allen, the greatest all-purpose back in NFL history. And all of those guys, by the way, played at a time before we really fell in love with the receiving game with running backs as we do so much now in today's NFL. The idea, and I guess because, look, he had basically like 6 Hall of Fame years and he did retire abruptly. Tiki Barber has done more in the NFL, yardage-wise, regular season-wise, than Terrell Davis has. He's done more in the NFL than Devin Hester has as strictly a return man. And yet Tiki Barber continues to get snubbed each and every year. And Tiki won't admit this, I'll admit this. Tiki Barber as a running back was better than Rondé Barber was at a cornerback, as his twin, and Rondé Barber made the Hall of Fame last year. So, yeah, it's a giant. It's coming from a giant place. And yes, I co-host with Tiki Barber every day, and I know how much it would mean to him dearly. but he checks every single freaking box statistically that is needed to make the Hall of Fame, and yet he got snubbed again this year. So, with all due respect, Tiki Barber to me has got to be in the Hall of Fame.
That's fair. And I love that you're going to bat for your guy Tiki. And I love Teak, and I agree. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, but not to the degree of snubness. The snubtion of Tiki Barber, in your opinion, doesn't even come close. And this is a guy you had on your list already. For me, he's number one, 8-time Pro Bowler. You want to say something, Shawnee?
I was just going to say, I know where you're going. One, I'm not going to reveal it. The reason Tiki Barber's number one, yes, okay, I work with him. I should go to bat for him. I understand all that and what you're thinking. Tiki Barber's also number one because everybody we've ranked on the list, I think we close our eyes and imagine them getting in the Hall of Fame the next 2 years. And for some reason, it feels like it's going to be a larger fight for Tiki. And I find that ridiculous, which is why I rank him higher.
Okay. That's fair. For me, though, still, there's nobody that could be a bigger snub than Antonio Gates. I mean, how the hell did this guy not get in this year? He better be a lock for next year. I mean, I'll tell you that much. It's a freaking joke. Most touchdowns by a tight end in the history of the sport. He's got more than Tony Gonzalez, more than Gronk, more than Kelsey, more than Witten, more than Shannon Sharp, more than Vernon Davis, more than anybody. 116 touchdowns, 11,000 yards, which all tight ends all the time, that's number 3 behind Gonzalez and Witten, more than Shannon Sharp, more than any other tight end in the history of the sport. Antonio Gates was a consensus, the best tight end in football for basically 4 or 5 straight years, from 2004 to 2008. First team All-Pro in 04, first team All-Pro in 05, first team All-Pro in 06. The guy was a lock for the Pro Bowl for basically the entire 2000s decade, from 2004 to 2011. Sure, the end of his career, the last 2, 3, 4 years, not great. But, I mean, the guy had basically 11, 12 straight years of dominance at the position where he revolutionized the spot. He revolutionized it. The Travis Kelce doesn't have the impact he has today without Antonio Gates. Rob Gronkowski doesn't have the impact he had without Antonio Gates paving the way for tight ends. It's inconceivable that this guy did not get in to the Hall of Fame this year. It's a joke. And all the other guys we've listed, Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt, Steve Smith Sr., the defensive guys, Rodney Harris and Fred Taylor, nobody stacks up to the level of snub that Antonio Gates gets credited with for not getting in this year.
I love it, Pat. I love it. But we're 7 minutes into the top of the hour. You said you had a bet in the oven. Let's go. Hot takes and hot cakes, hour 2.
Good morning, people. Boy, do I need some hot takes and hot cakes. Pat Boyle and Sean Marash, give it to them.
All right, Pat, what's in the oven?
I got a cake. I got a live bet. Shawnee, you know I love my tennis. And the gold medal match going on right now, it started just about 2 hours ago, and it's a rematch of the Wimbledon final. It's once again Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, playing on the clay, basically the same spot where the French Open is held, and I'm taking Djokovic live here. I'm taking him live. The big concern, I did not bet this match beforehand, and rewind everybody for 3 weeks ago. I took Djokovic against Alcaraz in the Wimbledon final, and I was dead wrong. Alcaraz smashed him. And what I've since learned is that this rivalry, where Djokovic is one shy of Roger Federer for most Wimbledon titles of all time, and kind of watching Alcaraz in his first 4 years here, watching his game develop, I would think that his best surface would be clay. But I think it's different. I think he's going to be best on grass. I think that's why he's beaten Djokovic 2 times in a row in the Wimbledon final. When they played in the French Open, Djokovic beat him. And the big concern, again, very tough with tennis because guys a lot of the times carry injuries. And you don't really know about him. You don't know the extent. With Djokovic, we knew it, right? He pulled out of the French Open, needed microscopic meniscus tear surgery. And then 3 weeks later, he's back playing at Wimbledon. Incredible feat just to make it all the way to the final. But now, here we are a couple of weeks after that, Olympic final, best of 3. It's not a best of 5, but the knee looks good. I've had an eye on this match every commercial break. I was watching it before we started our show, the first hour of the match. The knee looks fine for Djokovic. And I think the way this rivalry has gone is whoever is the favorite, for whatever reason, not necessarily can't deal with the pressure, but whoever is labeled as the underdog just rises to the occasion and kind of defies the odds almost every time these guys play, with the exception of that Wimbledon final 3 weeks ago. So Alcaraz was a minus 250 favorite on BetMGM to start. Right now, Djokovic's odds are fluctuating with the point, but I just locked him in just a couple of minutes ago here, right before we came back from break, at minus 125. Minus 125. And right now it's 15-30 on the Alcaraz serve. Djokovic won the first set in a tiebreak at 7-6, 2-2. You only need to win 2 sets to win the Olympic gold. So right now, Djokovic, live as we speak, is all the way up to minus 225. So again, I think you're hoping that Alcaraz holds here. But even if Alcaraz wins this second set, and then he's going to flip back to being a big favorite, because I think that a lot of people think, all right, well, Djokovic, the knee, he had kind of a flare up in the quarterfinal match. There was a lot of question marks around how his knee would be, the surgically repaired knee, just a month ago. I think he's fine. I think he's locked in. He's ready to go. And after winning the first set, again, if Alcaraz can hold here, Djokovic is going to go back to being a very slight favorite. It's going to be like minus 130. So if you're not again, don't do this if you're driving. But if you're listening to us from the comfort of your home, or if you're watching us and you have a chance to, again, don't do this while you're driving with any live bet. But if you got a chance here, if you see that Alcaraz holds and it's 3-2 Alcaraz in the second set, Djokovic is probably going to go back to about a minus 140 favorite. I would lock it in then. I got it right before we came back from break, up minus 125. But I think Djokovic beats him here. I think he pulls off the upset in what has become the best rivalry in tennis of the last 4 years.
Okay. Solid bet. Look, anywhere Pat's going to have you make your money, I'm not going to spin it around. But it's going to lead me into my hot take. A week ago, I rode Pat's bet. Serbia, by the way, did nothing for us in covering that spread with USA men's basketball. And overall, my opinion on the Olympics, which I used to love when I was younger, a couple years ago, and I just thought it was a me thing this year. I couldn't get revved up for it. And granted, yes, I'm very engulfed in the baseball, getting ready for football. But as much as I kind of said it tongue-in-cheek, I walked away going, whatever, Olympics. A week later, I'm justified. Pat, I spent a lot of time around our offices in New York, having casual conversations. The Olympics are on during the day we're there. I can't touch somebody who actually cares about them. I talk to buddies, family, anybody. You watching? No, I'm not really into it this year. I'm not really into it. And people that I know, have been into it past years, we all can't really put our finger on it. And then I saw Ken Fang, awful announcing. I follow him on Twitter. He tweeted out something Thursday. He said NBC Universal executives have told him, and have told a source, they feared and believed on ABC on Thursday night, the Hall of Fame game, which got 6.3 million viewers a year ago, would outrank their Olympic coverage that they paid a ton for, primetime Olympics, and that they really believed it. And now I go around, you're right, you bet in the tennis, this, that, and the other. This morning, I get in the car nice and early, go to Dunkin' Donuts with my daughter, get her a little breakfast, get it set up. Mommy was sleeping. I throw on, Sirius satellite radio, and I got the update that yesterday was the USA-Puerto Rico game. I had no idea what was going on. I thought it was today. Pat, I've been justified. I don't know what it is, and I'm not even trying to kill the Olympics because all of these Olympic athletes should be great. There's no buzz to these Olympics whatsoever this year. There just isn't. And it's just me tapping my shoulder that I'm right, but I don't get it. And by the way, you're into the tennis, you're into some stuff, that's fine. I think you're in the minority here. I think sports fans are just not into it this summer.
I don't know. I totally disagree. And again, it goes back to the point where we made last week. The one concession I made to you was that I said, of course, if it's a Thursday night football, Bears and Colts or whatever. Remember, I think that was the same matchup where we got the 14-12 score in week 3, and we're scared for Al Michaels' health because these games are going to kill him. Those games, even that, I said would do better than the Olympics, and I'm not surprised that the Hall of Fame game, if it outrated the Olympics.
We don't know that officially, by the way. We don't know that officially.
I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. In fact, I'm expecting the Hall of Fame game to outright the Olympics. It was the first actual taste of football that we had versus the Olympics. It's going to do it. Football, any game, any NFL game, preseason Hall of Fame game, no matter what, is going to beat the Olympics. I give that to you. But again, I said the intricacy, the nuance of the Olympics. Every 4 years during the summer, you get a chance to watch sports that you probably otherwise wouldn't watch. Again, I'm not following track and field and watching the World Championships, but I am into it on a summer summer days where outside of baseball, and again, the Hall of Fame game, yes, but for the most part, these last 2 weeks, it's going up against your local baseball team every night. And especially during the afternoon in the summer where you've got a chance to watch it, and Saturday afternoons and Sunday afternoons. I've been locked into the Olympics. I've been seeing all this Simone Biles stuff on social media, watching her win the gold yet again, watching Team USA win the gold. And then like all the subplots of what's going on with the women's gymnastics, Simone Biles going at it with the Michaela Skinner or whatever her name is, and seeing how big of a reach that's having on social media, plus the swimming. Plus, dude, I was locked into watching these giant behemoths of men launch a 16-pound ball at the shot put. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm into it, and I'm not watching it
No, I'm
on
not
a
telling you
Sunday.
not to be. I'm not telling you not to be. I'm telling you, America's not into it. Jeez. Men and women's basketball were weak in here, and I know the medal round will heat up. Don't get me wrong. Nobody cares. I don't know why. Nobody cares
Nobody
anymore.
cares because we were 34.5-point favorites. The gold medal game is going to be a big watch. You know it.
Oh, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Draw the blinds. It's BetQL's 5-star weekend fantasy football running back draft next.
BetQL 5-Star Weekend will be back on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM. Welcome back to BetQL 5-Star Weekend on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM.
5-Star Weekend presented by BetMGM. I want to thank a WFAN listener right now in real time, Carrie. Carrie and her husband, Justin, go to a ton of Yankee games, ton of Knick games. They have followed our Monday through Friday, or my Monday through Friday show, Evan and Tiki on the road. She sent me a picture and has acquired a bobblehead she is gifting me because she's a Packer fan. She has given me an Eli Manning Yankees bobblehead that was given out at Yankee Stadium just this morning when the 10 a.m. gates opened for everybody. I'm getting an Eli Manning Yankees bobblehead. Your thoughts? After we just did a little Hall of Fame. It's Eli Manning in a Yankee uniform. Excited for it.
I like that. And I saw the promo for that on one of the Yankee games coming up here a couple of days ago, about a week ago. That's a nice little gift. How about that? Got listeners giving you Eli Manning, Yankee bobblehead, a little crossover. They know you're a Giant and a Yankee fan. How about that? The listenership, the retention. We got her listening right now on BetQL.
Yeah, well, I told her, go to the app now. I'll give you the pop. So there we go.
She's listening. Hello, Carrie. How are you?
Yes.
Thank you for listening.
This is great. She might be watching on Twitch, actually, from the Yankee Stadium club level. She said, though, and buyers beware, we're going to give out home run bets next. It is already drizzling at Yankee Stadium, and we are expecting heavy thunderstorms from essentially 2 in the afternoon Eastern time, and it's already 10:22, until about 7 p.m. in that area for Yankees-Jays today. So if you're looking for bets voided, Yankees-Jays might be a play. You may want to stay away from any and all Yankee-Jay bets today. We'll see exactly how and if they piece together a game today in New York as the Yankees desperately looking to have a win after the Orioles beat the Commanders last night the Guardians last night.
I was going to say the Commanders.
Cleveland. You know what?
Commanders.
I know why I did that. I mixed up the Native American team name switches from the NFL to baseball there. The Guardians. Boy, Shawnee needs a little more rest. Anyway, fantasy football drafts, it's August. You know you're trying to play with your boys. Hey, can we get Hooters open on August 17th? So we've been doing this fun little game, Snakes on a Brain, where we kind of rank and we draft our position by position. Things have gotten sexy, baby. And the running backs still remain to this day a sexy proposition in fantasy football. So Amir, who fancies himself a fantasy football expert, although this draft and having him as a producer has shown us otherwise, very skeptical about his depth and, dare I say, girth when it comes to fantasy football. Whoa. He is with us on camera. Amir, good morning to you, sir. Very good, Amir. I don't know why I just laughed like the Joker, but that came out of me naturally. Very good. All right. We know the name of the game. Rock, paper, scissors. Everybody knows it. We put it out there. Patty, me, and Amir to see who picks first. Again, this will be a snake draft. Rock, paper, scissors, says, shoot. Oh, Amir put out paper. Me and Pat put out scissors. Amir is going to pick last. Pat, one more round for you. And me, rock, paper, scissors, says, shoot. We both put out paper. Do it again. Rock, paper, scissors, says, shoot. I put out scissor. I knew Pat was going paper again. I'll pick it first because I'm the damn champ. The champ. All right.
Congrats. Start acting like you won idiot. Rock, paper, scissors, man. What are you, 6?
Maybe I am. Okay. Here we go. We have all audio signals. Somebody give me a thumbs up there. Live production on the air. We're good. Everybody could hear him here because I could hear him. Okay, we're good to go.
Here we go. Round one for Sean. Devin Singletary, who's going to turn into Marshall Falk.
No, I mean, if I wanted to do that, I'd give you Tyrone Tracy or Dante Miller. I won't. I'm going to give you Christian McCaffrey because I'm not being honest with the board if I don't go Christian McCaffrey. Of course, he's the number 1 running back pick. Some of you have keeper leagues and you wouldn't not keep him, but we have to do this. Christian McCaffrey's number 1.
Yeah, and I'm going to follow up there. I think I would be dumb, and I have a little scar tissue from Arthur Smith. The last couple of years, last year especially, but new coaching staff in Atlanta, they're going to give him the ball. He is going to be a dog. He's going to be an animal. He should be putting up massive numbers every week for Atlanta. Bijan Robinson, I've got to take him with my first pick, number 2 overall in terms of the running backs.
Okay.
Hmm?
Do you have any Bijan Poupon? Okay, to you, Amir, 2 picks in a row.
Yeah, I'm surprised to be here. I definitely thought that you would go in a different direction. But for my number 3, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Brees Hall, who we talked about. I think like 2 weeks ago we talked about. I think you guys, everyone pretty much agreed you ranked him a top 2, top 3 running back guy. So why would I not go there if I have the third one? And then to snake back around, I think a lot of people were in like 2 running back kind of by committee situations. But I'm gonna go to a guy who I feel like is gonna have a consistent role in Jonathan Taylor as I double up. So I'm gonna rock with him for my second pick as I go 3 and 4.
Okay. To you, Patty.
Yeah, this is man, this is another one where I'm really torn here, where I think the one guy is going to get a lot of touchdowns, but I mean, seeing the role he was in last year, and he's in a running back, he's in a split running back room, whereas the other guy is kind of the unquestioned number one. I still think with how much they used him last year, and especially the incredible finish to the season he had, where he scored a touchdown in 7 of the final 8 games, including the playoffs, what he can do running the ball, plus how much they get him involved in the passing game. And it's another year under David Montgomery's belt. I think I'd be stupid if I don't take Jahmyr Gibbs here. So I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs from the Detroit Lions. Again, a running back who can feature like a receiver. That is what has made Christian McCaffrey the unquestioned number 1 running back in fantasy football. Jahmyr Gibbs now, after last year in his rookie season, 945 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns on the ground, 316 receiving yards, and a touchdown in the air. He might double those numbers altogether collectively here this year under Ben Johnson's offense for Detroit. I mean, you're looking at a guy that could be in the running for Offensive Player of the Year here.
Yeah.
I'm that high on Jahmyr Gibbs. I've got him second round here in this snake draft and number 4 overall.
I love that, Pat. And look, if you're the Detroit Lions, you don't spend a first-round pick on Jahmyr Gibbs and in year 2 not go even further into, the depth of the playbook with him. So I don't know how you don't go there. This is an easy one. I thank you all for this. And this might be the last time you need to take him this high in his career. But I think we are set up for an unbelievable dynamic duo of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in the backfield for Baltimore this year. I don't know how defenses look at that. It's like the Wildcat. If the Wildcat had babies and then had like deep fangs that tear your eyeballs out to the retinas, Derrick Henry's going to be awesome this year. And not just like, hey, Mike Vrabel hand off Derrick Henry a million times, like dynamically used where Lamar Jackson's going to only create that much more space for him on the ground. To me, yeah, it's Derrick Henry. Now I have my wraparound pick. Most boards would give you Saquon here, but he's probably going to play 5 games. So I'm not going to get roped into that. I'm going Devon A-Chain here because I think year number 2 with the speed he's had. Look at how many touchdowns Raheem Mostert had. And I think a lot of fantasy owners are going to go, give me back to the Mostert well. Look at all those touchdowns. Mike McDaniel's too creative. We got a taste of the speed of A-Chain. I think he's going to take that mantle a little bit from Mostert, even if it's not the first couple weeks. And I think he sets up. And if you told me today, if there were odds on this, I'm sure there are down the road, Devon A-Chain leads all NFL running backs in touchdowns this year. Probably good odds, and I think sneakily could happen. Give me A-Chain this early here on the wraparound.
I was going to take Devon A-Chain, but Sean, I'm glad that you left me with Kyren Williams for the Rams. I am taking him with my...
Oh, you fooled.
I'm taking him with my third pick because... Be quiet. Be quiet. What are you going to say? Because they drafted Blake Corum, so now the Kyren Williams is not going to have as many touches?
Yes, you don't draft Blake Corum in the 3rd round. You are setting yourself up. Kyren Williams fantasy owners are going to be so pissed off come October. I'm telling you right now.
You are so ridiculously high on Blake Corum because they drafted him in the 3rd round. Who's going to be their backup running back? Boston Scott? I mean, again,
Sean McVay is... What does Sean McVay do with these mid-round picks? He's playing a lot, dude.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They use Kyren Williams in the red zone like, I use Vaseline and tissues on a nightly basis here. So they're going to use him inside the red zone. He's still, all the amount of touchdowns he had inside the 5-yard line last year, like they're not giving those touches to Blake Corum. Sure, they might open up the playbook. Kyren Williams might not touch the ball 25 times like he was last year. I mean, these games were ridiculous. 25 carries against Baltimore, 27 carries against Washington, 22 carries against New Orleans. And then on top of that, caught 3 to 5 passes in those games. 30 touches. He was touching the ball 30 times. Like, yes, I am well aware he's not going to get 30 freaking touches per game anymore. but the production he's still going to have, because they don't want him to get hurt, is still going to be massive. And I think for a third-round running back, you can't get scared that they drafted Blake Corum. Like, I guess, Kyren Williams, again, not going to get 30 touches, but he's still going to touch the ball. He's still going to touch the ball probably 20 to 25 times a game here. And the numbers he put up last year.
He is on an offense with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. He's going to touch the ball that many times when they draft.
He was that freaking good last
Folks,
year.
Listen to Pat for the tennis bets. You ready him on, you draft him high.
Sean McVay is not stupid. He is not going to say, Kyren Williams put up all of these ridiculous numbers for us last year where he was getting 120, 130, 150 yards on the ground some games. And, just because we drafted Blake Corum, we can't give Kyren Williams the ball that much anymore. They're going to do it because they don't want to protect him and they don't want to hurt him. But, I mean, again, you just think Kyren Williams is going to be a stiff now all of a sudden in year 2? He's still going to be an incredible running back in this ground game that is going to be dangerous because they have Cooper Kupp, because they have Puka Nacua, because they have so many weapons on that offense. But then that's going to make the run game that much better. That's why Kyren Williams, I think, is still going to put up, running back 10, running back 11 in terms of the overall production numbers. Those are the numbers he's going to put up this year. I am not getting scared because of freaking Blake Corum. So give me Kyren Williams.
Who was better in college? Kyren Williams or Blake Corum? Blake Corum. You drafted him in the 3rd round. Good player,
Kyren Williams. If you put Kyren Williams behind that Michigan offensive line, he would have broken records. Records.
Yeah, because Notre Dame never has good O-lines. All right, to you, Amir.
Guys, and as you see in the chat, no one is really a fan of your picks. And the fact that anybody would question the validity of my picks and both of you want Achane in the 3rd round is a little crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and rack up on some more good running backs. And my next one, I'm going to go with
producer just take a shot at us?
The Philly legend, Saquon Barkley. I thought Pat was going to smarten up when you went Achane at the top of the round. He didn't. No. Went in wrong direction. So I'm going to get one of the best all-purpose guys possible in a new situation where he's able to, I think, thrive again in the offense with Jalen Hurts.
He just dropped another pass that went into the arms for a defender and a pick. But please, tell me more about Daniel Jones' interceptions. Okay, now what else?
So, yeah, I'm going to go Saquon. And then after that, I'm going to go to a guy who I think is going to have a resurgent season. I'm going to go Josh Jacobs in his new home. Obviously, he didn't have a great season last year. He didn't do a great job because he was holding out. He wanted to get his new money. He wasn't able to. He came into the season a little bit rusty. This is NFL rushing leader from 2 seasons ago. One of the most elusive guys as far as like forcing missed tackles. And I think in a new environment where he kind of is able to just reset, he can able to turn things around and kind of get back to being not the super elite running back, but definitely a lot better than he was last year.
All right. Pat?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I don't think this is too much of a leap here. I know there's maybe 1 or 2 other running backs on the board that, running fantasy football experts would tell you to take. But I just think what this guy has done so far in 2 years with the Kansas City Chiefs is remarkable. As a guy that was drafted in the 7th round, Isaiah Pacheco, I'm taking Pacheco. More, if nothing else, because, again, we saw the struggles of the Chiefs offense in the red zone last year. Kelsey basically went 7 or 8 weeks where he was a total stiff, and all the drop passes they had. I mean, again, adding Hollywood Brown, drafting Xavier Worthy, is that going to fix all their issues in terms of wide receivers that they need to catch passes in the red zone? So who's going to get a lot of touches? Isaiah Pacheco. They're going to run. They're going to lean on that ground game and hope that then that sets up the play action. Plus, I mean, he was a monster for them last year. So Pacheco is coming off a season where 935 yards on the ground, not massive, 7 touchdowns. But then also he became a big feature for them in the pass game because they needed somebody they could count on to catch the freaking football. 244 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. And again, look at what he did down the stretch where they leaned on him in the playoffs. They carried the ball 24 times against Baltimore, 24 times against Miami in that wild card game. Isaiah Pacheco, I don't care that Mahomes is the quarterback. He is going to get a ton of touches. And if you're talking about the Chiefs in the red zone, they need somebody they can count on. Pacheco's going to have a lot of 3-yard rushing touchdowns, a lot of 2-yard rushing touchdowns. So just because the touchdown value I think he brings, give me Pacheco.
All right, real quickly. I'm an idiot if I don't take Joe Mixon here. Lighter boxes, Houston, the whole deal. I think he at least gives you 1 good year in Houston. And I'll close with this one. Bill Belichick's not New England anymore. I'm not worried about the running backs who could tell time to time. They just signed Ramondre Stevenson to a big-time deal. Rookie quarterback, if not Brissett. Ramondre Stevenson will have his best fantasy year this year. I'm taking him as my 5th pick.
Really quickly for me here, because we got about 30 seconds, and Mir's going to finish us off. Give me Kenneth Walker of Seattle. I still think, even with Zach Charbonnet's evolution last year, I still think Kenneth Walker is going to have a big role here. Where if he's healthy, he's going to be a monster. Give me Kenneth Walker to the Seahawks.
Amir? That's good. Amir's muted.
Amir, you're on mute. He's still muted.
Sorry about
We'll
that,
get
guys.
Amir. There he is.
I'm back.
Say your name.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go Donovan Montgomery, who's a top 10 rusher last year, as my my last guy.
Who the hell's Donovan Montgomery?
Take
Or
us to
David
break.
Montgomery. What am I saying?
Take us to
All
break.
right, we'll be back. We'll be back with a dingbat. That's not Amir. Next.
On the BetQL network. Presented by BetMGM. Welcome back to BetQL 5-Star Weekend on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM.
It is BetQL's 5-Star Weekend presented by BetMGM. Baseball bettors alike. Are you ready? Are you ready to make a little money?
Shawnee.
What?
Can I quick update on the Olympic
here we go.
tennis gold medal match game? Gold medal
Okay.
match bet. So we took Djokovic, or I signaled that if it was 7-6, 2-2, and I said if Alcaraz were to hold for 3-2, Djokovic was going to come down to around -140. Actually went down to -130 on BetMGM. Alcaraz held. I locked in Djokovic before that segment began. Djokovic right now, it's 4-5 in the second set, but it's 40-15. So he's a point away for holding for 5-5. And we continue to inch closer to hopefully Djokovic putting away this match in 2, pulling the upset on Alcaraz and winning the gold medal. Again, still just basically a month removed from microscopic knee surgery, which is unbelievable. So hopefully we'll keep you updated on that, especially at the top of the hour, where we're probably going to be either in the third set or we're going to be cashing a bet.
Okay. I like it. I like it. Now let's bring in Kenny Gunnar Henderson here, as he always does. We did not get a home run winning bet between the three of us, like 3 clowns. So that means no unique loser here on Dingbat. We could get Kenny's video and audio up. I'd love to talk to him and see, the temperature here. Does he feel confident? We have not had big bets since his belly button pick 3 a couple weeks ago. Kenny, you ready to roll here today? We're going to give us a little win?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Okay. We ready? We understand what gets us to the first pick. Do we understand the game we play here on camera, twitch.tv/BetQL? The game is called what?
Dingbat.
No. Kenny, you
Rock,
got that
paper,
question
scissors.
wrong. Rock, paper, scissors to get to Dingbat. Kenny, please come back to us, please.
I was ready to play. I was ready to play the little intro we had. I thought that's what you were leading up to. My bad.
No, we do
Kenny's
rock, paper,
got his
scissors, then you
finger
play
on the
intro.
trigger. Kenny's got his finger
He
on
does.
the trigger. He's ready to push.
Okay, that's right. And also, when you play rock, paper, scissors, you say rock, paper, scissors says shoot, right? Instead of just shoot.
Yeah, because that's the way you play.
No,
Kenny.
it's not. But okay, go ahead.
Kenny, you guys make me have to be Simon Cowell here. One by one, and me or you prop up here, and I got to shred you to tea. I don't want to do that.
You're the only one
Please.
that says shoot. It's just rock, paper, scissors, shoot. We know what's after scissor. We don't need like another.
No,
We
guys.
don't need another hiccup. This isn't like a cadence like Sean's under
Guys.
center, Red 42, Omaha turbo set. We know what's coming. Just say hike.
I don't have the patience for this. I'm older than you. I know how to play rock, paper, scissors. Says shoot. Okay, and I'm teaching my kids the same. So here we go. Ready?
Another generation that doesn't know how to play the game.
Yeah, another generation that gives out crappy tennis bets. Rock, paper, scissors, says shoot. All right, Kenny out. He put out a scissor. Me and Boyle are putting out rocks. Man, me and Boyle got stones today. We are the rock, paper, scissors champs. Here we go. Kenny, you're picking last. Screw you, pal. Me and Patty, here we go. Rock, paper, scissors, says shoot. I got the scissor. I got the paper. That's 2. That's 2 rock, paper, scissors games. Won by me. Oh, my God. What a day. Here we go. I have pick number 1. I love a theme, right?
Hold on. Can we let Kenny hit the song now?
Oh, that's right. Kenny, now that's the way you do that thing. Okay.
Who will win? Who will lose? Who will look dumb? It's time for Dingbat with Sean Marash and Pat Boyle on the bet.
All right. That's a good little good. By the way, I was wrong there. Kenny was right. It was time to play the intro. Folks, let me just tell you something about the Twinkies. No, I'm not talking about the Hostess brand packaged snack. Some might think because I live on the chunkier edge that I love a Twinkie. I don't, but I love Twinkies today. The Twins are the best team in Major League Baseball against right-handed pitchers when it comes to home runs. They've hit 99 this year. I'm sorry. They're one of the best teams. I had the stat wrong. 99 home runs against right-handed pitchers this year. All right. Chris Flexen is on the mound for Kenny's White Sox, who suck. Okay. Chris Flexen, in his last start, didn't give up a home run. So you might say, well, Sean, why are you going there? Well, Chris Flexen's a home run machine. In fact, there's only been one other time this year where he's gone back-to-back starts without allowing a homer, and that was at the beginning of May when he faced the Nats and the Rays, who don't like the homer at all. Chris flexing to get lit up today. So I go to the right-handed bats. I stroke my ego with right-handed bats. Give me Byron Buxton plus 300 to hit a home run today. I'll
What are
be
you
flexing
stroking?
with that win. All right. Byron Buxton, pick number 1 for me.
And
Pat.
you're stroking something, you're pounding something. What's going on with there?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm always stroking. I'm always pounding my ego. Let's go.
Okay. Hopefully you're stroking a little bit more than that. First pick for me, I'm going to the Roku game. Roku. So it's an early start right as our show ends. That game is starting. It's a 12:05 Eastern start, which I believe Cincinnati, I think they're an hour behind. That's an 11 a.m. start there. So early day, it's going to be hot, 85. We know it's a bandbox. Balls are flying. Robbie Ray pitching for the Giants. Yes, Robbie Ray, who, by the way, won a Cy Young like 2 years ago. He's still in the league. He's barely pitched the last 2 years. Robbie Ray making, I believe this is his third start of the year. He's given up 3 home runs already in 9 innings. So, yes, as Kenny Gunnar Henderson tells us, Robbie Ray, Rachel's brother. And he's got, who we got in the Reds lineup, who's a newly acquired Red who has not homered yet. That's Mr. Ty France, batting cleanup today for the Cincinnati Reds. Ty France, who has not homered yet as a Red, so one would say he's due. And on top of that, you want to know Ty France's career numbers off of Mr. Robert Ray? 7 for 13 with 2 Billy bombs. So I think Ty France says, oui, oh mon chéri, and takes Robert Ray deep again today. Ty France, plus 500, by the way. Plus 500.
Would be apropos for Ty France to hit a homer and give Patty gold when the Olympics are taking place where?
In Paris. In France.
In France.
In France. Yeah, we got it, guys. Ty France. We got it.
And what did we all do in Dingbat last week?
Lose.
We tied. The Olympics are in France.
Yeah, it's a
Tie
stretch.
France.
It's a stretch.
Kenny, to you.
All right. We're going to go to Pirates Diamondbacks. I'm going to go with O'Neal Cruz. He hits the ball as hard as anyone in the league. Tom's stepson. It's not even spelled the same way, but.
Wow.
Oh,
Anyway.
I get it. Dude,
O'Neal
what's up,
Cruz.
Katie Holmes?
O'Neal Cruz going up against Ryan Nelson. Good matchup. Going there.
I thought it was harder to be more unfunny than me, but Kenny just proved it's mission impossible. Here we go. Now, to me. Guys, that was another joke. All right?
We heard it. We heard it.
Can I get a pulse? A pulse. I'm just going to keep hammering twins here and hope that Chris Flexen keeps getting flexed. Give me Royce Lewis plus 330. All the indications I gave you earlier. See, I'm smart. I know how to find winners.
I'm looking back at my Dingbat bets here, and I believe I've hit on him once. I think I've taken him about 7 times. So I'm due. And I'm just going to go back to him out of spite because he homered yesterday, and I'm pissed because I was already had him in mind to take him. And he's actually homered 4 other times on back-to-back days this season. So it very well could happen. Braves, Marlins, you've got Edward Cabrera pitching, another guy that has been taken deep more times than, I don't know. I was going to make a joke that probably wasn't appropriate for air, so I'm going to stop and not go ahead with that joke. Edward Cabrera has given up 10 home runs in 43 innings. A home run every 4 innings, basically. So, yeah, if there's anybody that's going to take him deep today, it's going to be a guy that went deep yesterday. I'm going back to the well with Marcell Ozuna, plus 300. Give me Ozuna to go deep on back-to-back days and cash here. Big Zoo to hit one deep, plus 300 on BetMGM.
All right. Kenny, to you. You got any other cute jokes you want to make? You want to give a winner?
I want to give a winner because I'm going to one-up Pat here. I'm going to go with a Brave as well, but I'm going to go to a guy who's going to get more at-bats. He's got a revenge game, and he has not hit a home run on this team this season yet. It's the World Series MVP of 2021, Jorge Soler, against the Marlins today.
Okay.
I was gonna go with Soler if I didn't take Ozuna. It's a good bet, Kenny.
Of all the starting pitchers in Major League Baseball on this Sunday, there is one who has given up more home runs than any other starting pitcher pitching today in Major League Baseball. And his name is Griffin Canning, and he's pitching for the Angels today. Give me Petey Alonso at plus 280 of the Mets to make sure Griffin keeps going in the can. Okay, Pat, to you.
Wow. Jeez.
Plus 280,
I'm
by the way, on Pete. Plus 280.
All right, I'm going to Sunday Night Baseball. Justin Steele, Miles Michaelis from the St. Louis Cardinals, and I'm looking for a little hometown cooking here for the Cubbies. I'm looking for a little hometown cooking here on Sunday Night Baseball, and I had the odds in front of me, and now I lost them, so I'm going to stall here for about 5 seconds. Sunday Night Baseball, Wrigley Field, Cubbies, Cardinals. Who's Patty going with? Who's he going with? Who do you think I'm going with here?
I think you're going with Cody Bellinger.
Wow. How about you,
Dansby
Shawnee?
Swanson.
Nope. Shawnee nailed it. I'm going with Bellinger. Plus 525. Call this a dart. Call this just Patty's thinking that it's going to happen, that the Bellinger, the Bellman, is due for one. I don't know. I like Bellinger. Plus 525. Yeah, I mean, this again, I'm going to chalk this up. This is a total dart. This is a total dart. I was looking through the other games. I didn't necessarily like anything I saw. Didn't like any of the pitching matchups. Bellinger, plus 525. Right here. You heard it first. Heard it here first.
Okay. And Kenny, to you.
All right, let me go to a former Cub. We know that the Crawford boxes in Houston, pretty favorable towards right-handed hitters. We're going to go with Christopher Morel with the Rays. I think he's hit 2 home runs. He's been there for like 5 days, so I think he hits another one today against Houston.
All right. He loves the Christopher Morel. Hey, Chrissy, what's going on? There are your BetQL Sunday 5-star weekend Sunday dingbat home run bets. Little not as lively as I would have liked. A little juice. I thought we felt a little flat there, but ultimately the main game there is giving winners. If I could be critical of all of it, and I want to warn everybody again: if you're drafting fantasy football soon, do not take Donovan Montgomery as a running back. His name is David. If I could remind everybody that. All right, we come back. 1 more hour to play with. D-Gen bets still to come. A GTFO and oh yeah. And, of course, our best bets of the day as well to end the show. Hot takes and hotcakes next. That's BetQL's 5-star weekend presented by BetMGM.
BetQL 5-star weekend will be back on the BetQL network. Presented by BetMGM. with Sean Marash.
I will punch you in your stupid face, and I hate the Knicks. I hate their fans.
And Pat Boyle.
That's probably why I'm not a GM in the NFL, but if I was, I would probably take a huge swing on Michael Penix.
Turning your faith into fortune.
Few things in the gambling world I can't wait to bet more than the Jets under right now.
While serving up hot takes and hot takes.
If Chet Holmgren was on that team, he's probably putting up better numbers than Wemby.
It's BetQL 5-Star Weekend, presented by BetMGM.
A month left of these shows. Now, Pat, Amir's given us some news. You've given out a bet. Do you want to take some bows here? Novak Djokovic, the Joker.
I do not want to take any bows. And Amir, I want to punch Amir in his face right now for saying in our chat, we could touch on some of the news with Djokovic about to win. There is no about to win until the last ball has been played. But I gave out Djokovic live after he won the first set. And yeah, sure, he was plus 200 on BetMGM before the match. I wanted to see how the knee was doing, the surgically repaired knee over just a month ago, and Alcaraz torched him in the straight sets in the Wimbledon final, and Djokovic had a little bit of a flare-up in the quarterfinals. The knee is fine. Djokovic now a point away. He's got 4 match points. It's 7-6, 6-6, and you got to get to 7 in the tie break. It's 6-2. So he needs one more point. I got a minus 125. He was minus 135 after Alcaraz held for 3-2 in the second set. So if you live bet that, we are a point away from cashing Djokovic in what is honestly going to be one of the greatest wins of his career. What is going to be one of the greatest wins of his career if he can finish this off here? He's never won a gold medal at the Olympics. That's been the one thing he has not won in terms of the 4 Grand Slams plus the Olympics. His 4th one, most likely his final one, and he's just done it. Novak Djokovic has pulled the upset. He has beaten the young Spanish king, Carlos Alcaraz. He has avenged the Wimbledon final loss from just over a month ago, and still just over a month from that surgically repaired knee. He takes down Alcaraz on clay, where he also won the French Open just over a month ago. Djokovic wins Olympic gold for the first time ever, and we cash a live bet. Patty Tennis strikes again, baby. Let's go. Come on. Because you know what, Sean? I was in shambles after I gave out Djokovic in that Wimbledon match, in that Wimbledon final a month ago here on this show. And I had to sit there and watch the tease of Djokovic, basically needing that 3rd set tiebreak to give us a chance. And he didn't do it. And he comes back here and he avenges that loss and he wins the gold. That is a big upset, and that's a massive win. At 37 years old, still defying Father Time. And as a Roger Federer fan, pains me to say this. He's the greatest player ever. He's the greatest player of all time. He is the GOAT. And he just beat Alcaraz for the Olympic gold. Wow. Bang. That's a big win.
Pains you to say it. Okay.
It does pain me
congrats to Novak Djokovic and more tennis. What a day it is. All right.
We got the U.S. Open 3 weeks away. So, yes, more tennis on the horizon.
Why is it? Who is it open to?
Come on, stop. It's an open. They use that in golf as well. An open is a tournament. An open is an invitational for professionals to play. You know what an open is. Who's it open to? Pros. It's open to me. It's open to our wallets.
Okay. All right, we ready to do more stuff?
Yes. Kenny and Dan saying this is a tennis show. Tennis and Theo Johnson show.
That's right. By the way, Theo Johnson would also beat Novak Djokovic in tennis. All right, here we go. Hot takes and hot cakes time. Let's go. That's what I meant.
Good morning, people. Boy, do I need some hot takes and hot cakes. Pat Boyle and Sean Marash, give it to them.
Pat, we all know that Aaron Judge is having one of the most unconscious offensive years Major League Baseball's ever seen. But he is not the biggest draw in Major League Baseball to me, and that's coming from somebody who loves Aaron Judge, a Yankee fan. The biggest draw is Paul Skeens, because what he is doing on a mound, maybe I'm a nerd that loves pitching, but it is uncanny. He's got the hot girlfriend that we all know and love. He is playing for a team like the Pirates. It's very unusual. But Paul Skeens is theater to me, man. I just love watching him pitch. I'm in on it. And anytime it's Paul Skeens day, like we're getting on a Sunday, invest me a little bit. So my hot take to start number hour one is I think Paul Skeens is actually the most entertaining player to watch in baseball, not Aaron Judge. But that leads me to a hot cake. Paul Skeens in his last start versus the Houston Astros struck out 6 batters. Prior to that, he has struck out 8 or more batters in those 4 straight starts. His over-under on Ks in the positive is at plus 116. 7.5 is the number. So on positive money, to get Paul Skeens to 8 or more Ks, I have to place that bet. That is a hot cake for me in this spot. And do you one more? It's the Pirates. It's the Diamondbacks. The Pirates are now 2.5 out of the last wild card, a wild card spot the Diamondbacks are occupying. This is now 2 of 3 weekends that these two teams have tussled up and these two teams have tangoed. Paul Skeens, I think this is a spot where the Pirates, who still really do crave making the postseason, I don't think they're going to be so quick to pull Paul. Now, look, they're not going to let him go deep into the 9th inning. I think Paul Skeens is going to have an electric start, and because the Pirates need the game, it's the last time they've seen the Diamondbacks this year, they'll be more likely to let him go 7th inning, dare I say 8th inning, depending on pitch count, and Paul Skeens has been efficient. To me, plus 116, and I'm asking him to do something. He's done 4 of his last 5 starts. Yeah, Paul Skeens over 7.5 Ks for me is my hot cake to start hour number 3. Game starts 1:36 Eastern. Boiled to you.
I've also got a baseball bet for you, Shawnee. I got a hot cake here, and we're going to see if we can add on to the win that we've already got on our ledger here during this show. Djokovic beating Alcaraz for the Olympic gold. I'm going to the West Coast. I'm going Phillies Mariners. And anytime I see a 7, a flat 7, let alone 7.5, but a flat 7 in the over/under department on BetMGM, most of the time for me, that's just an automatic play to the over, right?
Right.
I'm sorry. You're giving me a 7. I'm going to take the over. And on top of that, and again, it's fair that we're getting 7, over 7 on BetMGM at minus 115 because it's Zach Wheeler against Logan Gilbert. 2 Cy Young candidates, guys at ERAs either slightly under 3 or slightly above 3. 2 of the, Phillies, one of the best teams in baseball, best team in the National League. And you got 2 stud pitchers. So, yes, the surface, I'm not surprised you're getting a 7, but I mean, anybody that's been watching baseball, this Phillies bullpen has been utterly atrocious. They have been disgustingly bad. And here's just the last 5 games for the Phillies. So again, if Zach Wheeler goes out there and pitches his ass off and gives you 7 shutout innings, you tip your cap. I'm going to tip this cap. Here you go, Zach, tipping my cap to you. If you go out and shove and Logan Gilbert does the same thing. But if Zach Wheeler doesn't shove and you get into that Phillies bullpen here, I mean, they've been like the worst bullpen in baseball here over the last month. Just the last 5 games, the Phillies gave up 14 to the Yanks, 7 to the Yanks, 6 to the Yanks, 10 to the Mariners, and 6 again in another extra inning loss last night. So right there, I mean, the Mariners have a chance. If the Phillies continue, the bullpen continues to pitch the way they have, if Wheeler doesn't give you a gem and they're forced to go to that bullpen, Mariners might maybe cash this on their own. If you have another meltdown Philly day for the bullpen, that's just been an absolute joke. It's been garbage. And then you got, and here's the thing too about Zach Wheeler, right? His worst splits are on the road in a day game, right? I mean, I'm looking for a competitive edge any way I can get it. At home and at night, he's been better. On the road, in the day, both a 3.61 ERA on the year. So you got the little bit of advantage there with Wheeler. And, I'm going back to the last couple of times he's pitched. He got lit up by the Yankees, 7 runs across 5 innings. Before that, 7 shutout innings against Minnesota. So, you might get a mixed bag. You could get 3 innings over 6 innings from Zach Wheeler, and we'll take that. We will gladly take that. If we can get 2 runs off of Wheeler for the Mariners, getting to that Phillies bullpen, I feel really good about this bet. Logan Gilbert, again, he's been great, but he also got lit up last time. Didn't even make it out of the 3rd inning against Boston. Gave up 7 runs across 2 2/3, and he's given up 3 runs or more in 4 out of his last 5 starts. So in a game where we need 7 runs at worst to push, the starter for the Mariners has given up 3 runs or more in 4 out of his last 5 starts. Again, we will take that. If we have a 3-2 game going into the 6th inning, I like our chances here. So it's a low number, of course, because it's Gilbert, Wheeler, 2 Cy Young candidates. But again, most of the time for me, I get a flat 7 in a baseball game on a Sunday afternoon where the balls generally fly a little bit more. You get a little bit more offense. I'm taking the over. That's no different here. Mariners, Phillies, over 7 on BetMGM minus 115.
I love it, Pat. I absolutely love it. I think we're set up for a good day of baseball bets, a fun day of baseball. As we hit the rally point, we try to get home here to September and what is going to be, I think, a fascinating National League wildcard race. And you're right, do the Phillies hold on in their division? Braves and Mets at least within hailing distance the way they've played. It is going to be absolutely wild. You know, one more thing we didn't get to from earlier in the show, Geno Smith, we kind of had that weird update from Adam Schefter where, you know, he's expected to be fine, but, you know, a couple different things going on with him. Very unsexy team to talk about. It's almost like we forget Pete Carroll's not there anymore. I'm relieved to see Geno Smith's going to be fine. Where are you standing on the Seahawks here? Because we kind of gave our thought on the Chargers, what we both thought of Herbert. Ultimately, it feels like Geno's going to start the year. I kind of think we get a playoff-less meandering year from the Seahawks, where at the end of the year, with the way the Geno contract structured, you're going to be thinking about the future of that team at the quarterback position too. And yeah, Sam Howell's their backup now. I think the Geno stuff, the last 2 years, you saw him not really play great football down the stretch. I think that the idea and the story of Geno Smith's been greater than the actual play. And now I'm taking away Pete Carroll, who's a maintaining steady coach for them. I think we're looking at a real down year for Seattle here, Pat.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the sports books would agree. Their over/under on BetMGM win total is 7.5. So they're not expected to be a playoff team. They're expected to either go 7-10 or 8-9. And I agree with you too. Like 2 years ago, the season that Geno Smith put together, they wrote me off. I didn't write back, and I was great. I mean, what did he throw for? Like well over 4,000 yards, over 30 touchdowns.
Right.
Off the top of my head.
But he stumbled down the stretch of that year, and then the play. Correct. Remember that the things started to fall apart. They were very fortunate to make the playoffs. If the Packers had beaten Detroit on that Sunday night, Seattle would have collapsed and missed the playoffs entirely.
Correct. I agree with you. 4,200 yards, 30 touchdowns. Last year, he came back to earth. Only 3,600 yards, only 20 touchdowns through the air. So, they didn't have, and for a team, again, that still has DK Metcalf, that has Tyler Lockett, that saw Jackson Smith and Jigba take a big step forward last year. He's got the weapons. I think that Geno had a nice little resurgent year, but I still think he is on the lower list of NFL quarterbacks now. And I think that this year is going to reflect that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at week 7, week 8, and they go to Sam Howell out of desperation because the season's starting to come off the tracks here. Young team, they have definitely improved that defense, which needed significant improvements after the Legion of Boom came and went. Reek Woolen's great. Devin Witherspoon was phenomenal last year, one of the best cornerbacks in football, and he's fast as hell. So we'll see what Mike McDonald can do here now, coming over, bringing that defense from Baltimore. They're going to have to rely on the defense because I just don't think with Geno as the quarterback that the Seattle offense is going to do enough to make them a playoff team. And again, it's a very loaded NFC West. They're in the same division as San Francisco, obviously, so that's going to be tough. The Rams, they're expected to be a playoff team, so you wouldn't think Seattle's going to be better than them. And then, Arizona, it's very unpredictable what the Arizona Cardinals are going to be here. I do think there's a chance Seattle finishes last in the NFC West, and they're moving on from Geno Smith, and Mike McDonald gets his own quarterback.
I sneakily think Arizona could be better than the Rams this year. I'm not ready to commit to that take, but I think that pathway is totally open. I think we totally also just accept or forget or overlook Aaron Donald retiring is going to be a really big deal for the Rams. Yeah, they're going to be able to sling it, but at the same time, I take you back to 12 months ago. We were all kind of under the assumption that Matt Stafford wouldn't be able to survive a full season based on his injuries and everything. Then he did, and they made the playoffs. Now we're going to ask him to do that in back-to-back years. And I love the receivers. We argued about the running backs earlier. But that defense, Aaron Donald was the anchor to everything. And I think you're going to find out and realize just how important he was. I think the defense takes a major step back. Look, I'm not writing the Rams off and telling you they can't be a playoff team. The NFC, I think so many of those teams are going to live in that 6-10 win range where it's going to come down to a play here, play there. Shocking, that's the NFL. But I think there's a pathway for Arizona to be in second place in that division. And you're right, I'm on Seattle, I think, to finish in last place. Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll see if Geno Smith can prove us wrong again. I just don't think it's going to happen. Like you said, especially how he kind of stumbled down the stretch 2 years ago and last year was pretty underwhelming for the most part. I mean, they need that run game they need the offensive line to be really, really good. And I just don't think that offensive line is in a position to really protect Geno Smith to the point where he needs it. Because he needs protection. He needs a lot of time in the pocket. And again, even though the Rams lost Aaron Donald, I still think the Niners defense, the Cardinals defense, who showed a lot of like decent signs, like they're not a doormat. And I think at best, Seattle splits that series with Arizona, and then they've got a pretty tough schedule around that as well. So we're together. We're pretty low on Seattle this year.
Geno Smith, a lot like Pat Boyle on a Saturday night, needs protection. All right, we have 2 more segments to play with here. GTFO and Oh Yeah will come up next. And of course, we're going to close the show. I've cooked up a Sunday scary that I am like pretty juiced up about. 5 legs, 24-1. A D-Gen bet I'm juiced up about. And Pat's got a beef bet. What does he have beef with? Who knows? As this continues to be a challenge throughout the final month of the show, can he maintain beefs? We will keep an eye on that. It's BetQL's 5-star weekend. Thanks to all of our affiliates, twitch.tv/BetQL. We continue to hammer out the show. Next.
BetQL 5-star weekend will be back on the BetQL network. Presented by BetMGM. to BetQL 5-Star Weekend on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM.
Name is Sean. I'm going to close out the show like Ricky Vaughn, but I'm not a wild thing. Sometimes, though, I do win. Lots of bets. What the hex? Here we are. It's Sean Morash and Pat Boyle, feeling like a royal. Put a crown on my head, son. We are here. We ain't going to bed. Whoa. What's up?
Okay. That was something.
How are you?
Good. I'm doing good.
was
Appreciate the effort there.
Effort being the key word there. All right, we've had a lot of fun on the show. We got our best bets coming up in the next segment. This is a game I love every week. It's GTFO, kind of hitting on some little storylines throughout the week. Give us a chance to touch up, and have some fun with some of the stuff we otherwise would not talk about. So, Pat, you ready for GTFO? And yeah? Yeah, but Sean,
I'm ready.
Kenny needs to play the bet. Okay. Kenny, let's go. Play the bet.
It's now time for GTFO, or Oh Yeah.
All right, it's time for GTFO and Oh Yeah. And let me just start. Oh yeah, my wife just came home making chicken franchise meatballs with farfalle pasta. I cannot wait. Going to be a big dinner in the Morash house. But let me, what?
What kind of pasta?
I think it's farfalle.
You're close. That was much better than the first one. That first one sounded like a town in France.
So what is the name of it, Pat? You're Irish, so you should always know all the Italian food. You tell me.
Well, I'm half Italian, so I think
I am too.
Let's set the record straight. I'm half Italian. Just because the name is Boyle doesn't mean my mother's side isn't mostly Italian. There, it'd be farfalle.
So I said that. I got it right.
Well, you said farfalle at first. I don't know what the first attempt
No,
was.
I was talking about Farrah Fawcett once had farfalle.
Okay. Either way,
right.
That sounds like a good
Yeah.
meal. Your wife's a saint. I've said it many, many times. Danielle, anytime she wants to, cook up some food for Patty Boy for you to bring into the fan, the WFAN in New York.
Pat Boyle. She likes Pat Boyle. She's a fan of Pat Boyle.
I hope so,
Where you
because I
want.
protected your family from a raging lunatic at your parents' backyard last year.
We don't have enough. By the way, that was a GTFO situation. GTFO. Or oh yeah. Amir, you're a piece of work. He just wants controversy, but I guess that's his job as a radio producer to strike it up. Here's the question. Eli Manning is a first ballot Hall of Famer. GTFO or oh yeah, Pat Boyle?
I'm going to say, oh, yeah. And I know big Giants fan Shawnee is probably going to go, oh, yeah. And if if you think that I'm not real, if you think that sometimes I say things just to draw up controversy, you're wrong. Because I could have just easily said GTFO and I could have got Sean all riled up here on a Giants show where he said Theo Johnson's the next Travis Kelce and Malik Neighbors is the next Tyreek Hill. And that somehow, though, he still thinks the Giants are only going to win 7 games when they've got 2 generational talents on offense that not a lot of people know about, especially Theo Johnson. I could have made it easy.
And
Could have got Shawnee riled up easily. But I do believe that Eli Manning is legitimately a first ballot Hall of Famer. Oh yeah. Again, longevity, that has to play a role, right? You can't there's an argument to make that a guy is just, like a stat stuffer, if you will. But to play the quarterback position in the NFL and to not miss a single start for basically 15 years. And I think that streak was only broken right by Geno Smith because of the doofus Ben McAdoo starting him. And if I remember that correctly here, Eli Manning started 210 consecutive games. He is 10th all time in passing yards in NFL history. He is 10th all time in touchdowns in NFL history. That alone is borderline first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
On top of that, then he's got 2 of the best Super Bowl wins that I've ever seen, including probably the greatest upset in NFL history, knocking off the undefeated Patriots and Tom Brady. Of course, they didn't put up 35 points. Defense did a lot of it, but he was the Super Bowl MVP for both those wins over New England. So 2-time Super Bowl champ, 2-time Super Bowl MVP. I really don't care what his numbers look like. The fact that he beat Brady and the Patriots both times, led the charge, including the greatest upset in my money of all time, that makes Eli Manning, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer.
So here's my problem with the question, and this would go not just for Eli Manning, but this would go for the sport of baseball. Let's go for anybody in football. When somebody asks me, is this guy a first ballot Hall of Famer? I find it to be an absolutely ridiculous question. To me, the question is the guy a Hall of Famer? If you believe a guy's a Hall of Famer, the idea that writers or voters make guys wait a couple years when they know they're a Hall of Famer because, well, they can't be first ballot. I've never felt comfortable with that argument. So that's not a giant Eli thing. It's just, okay, we all believe the guy's a Hall of Famer, right? So what are we talking about? We're going to make the guy wait a year because, he had a couple interceptions that you didn't like in one season? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So yes, oh yeah, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, Kenny brings up an interesting question. And by interesting, I mean, if I was allowed to say a word for poop that begins with S, I would. He brings up a dog turd question, which is, the real question is, without those 2 Super Bowls, is he a Hall of Famer? Well, that's a stupid question. Number one is, as we point out, statistically, okay, the question would be borderline. The Super Bowls happened, and not just one, both happened. Without Terrell Davis's 2 Super Bowls, is he a Hall of Famer? No, he's not even borderline the way Eli Manning would be. Without the greatest show on turf, is Kurt Warner a Hall of Fame? That Super Bowl? No, the Super Bowls do matter. It's a rare player such as Dan Marino where they can get away with not having the Super Bowls. Eli Manning is great, and his greatness led to the Super Bowls. It's not like he accidentally found them. And if you're somebody that goes, well, the defense has won them those Super Bowls, go check 2011, because Eli Manning remains the only quarterback in NFL history to have won a Super Bowl with the league's worst rushing attack that year. No quarterback has ever done that other than Eli Manning, 2011, number 32 overall. And the Giants defense was bottom 10 in the league in 2011. Eli Manning won that Super Bowl, carried them to it. That's why they were a 9-17. Guys, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer because he's a Hall of Famer. And if you want to make him wait a year because of his last name or because you didn't like that by the end of the year with bad O-lines, he let his career record go to 500, fine. I don't care. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's going next year. Let's get lost. Stupid question to ask. Well, without those Super Bowls, it matters. All right, GTFO or all year, Paul Skeens will win the NL Cy Young. I'm going to tell you, I think he's going to get this home now. I wouldn't have said this a while ago, but I think he's become the absolute story in baseball. And I think the writers, more than anything, remember, this is such a fugazi way you make awards happen. And his stats are going to be, look at his ERA and everything. I think Skeens will be, that's an oh yeah for me, Boyle. I think he will ultimately prevail and be the Cy Young Award winner.
No, I'm going GTFO. I'm going GTFO because I don't see Chris Sale falling off the rails here and losing this award.
I know what the odds say, dude. I'm just telling you the voters. I think Skeen's going to have a strong 2 months.
Well, I got the odds here. Chris Sale, BetMGM right now, plus 105 to win the NL Cy Young. Paul Skeens, plus 150. Zach Wheeler, plus 400. And then everybody else is 4 digits. Hunter Green, the next closest at plus 1,800. So it's most likely a 3-man race right now. Again, each guy still has about 6, 7, if not more starts left to go. Maybe 8. But it's going to be down to Chris Sale and Paul Skeens. And I agree with you. Skeens has been fantastic. He's been phenomenal. Every time he goes out there and pitch, it's highlight-worthy stuff. There's got to be something, though, about the body of work. And the fact that Sale's got 43 more innings pitched than him, and in 123 innings, he's got 155 strikeouts. That is basically as impressive as Skeens striking out 103 guys across 80 innings. So, in terms of, the stuff, again, Paul Skeens getting all the hype, but Chris Sale is doing this again, where Chris Sale, we wonder whether he would ever pitch again last year. Makes 20 starts for Boston. It's all right. It's Chris Sale, nice little season, a 4.30 ERA, nothing special. Battled injuries again last year. And then all of a sudden, he has been the best pitcher in the National League so far. And yes, Skeens, his ERA is 1.90. Chris Sale's 2.71, so it's nearly a whole run difference. But you look at all the other numbers there, the strikeouts, the stuff, the whip is virtually the same, 0.95 for Sale, 0.90 for Skeens. If Chris Sale stays healthy and makes every start the rest of the year, I don't think there's not going to be that big of a disparity between him and Paul Skeens that is going to allow Skeens to catch him. You talk about voters, they want a reason to vote for Paul Skeens. They would want a reason to vote for Chris Sale. I mean, if there was a comeback player of the year award, he would win it. On top of that, he can win the Cy Young because he's been that freaking good. Yeah. I think Sale is winning this award. I'm going to go GTFO. Skeens ain't winning it.
You're forgetting one thing. Chris Sale, the media hates him. Hates him. Remember, he's the same guy that cut up the jerseys. He's been known. I've never met him personally, but the idea you get is that Chris Sale's been a jerk to all of these people forever. So if it's tight, they're going to, give you the kid, the good story, everything. And that's not, I'm not telling you that's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm just telling you that's the way these freaking awards work if it's close. Now, you mentioned Chris Sale's whip, but what about his nay-nay?
Oh, my God.
All right,
Wow.
GTFO or oh yeah takes us to question number 3.
Jeez. That's actually a good one. I mean, you are just a machine for really bad puns and jokes, but like some of them are really freaking great. Some of them were genius. I got to give you that. I heard the one you dropped on Tiki on WFAN the other day. Something about the Rangers. The Rangers will be chafing.
Oh yeah,
if there's Andrew Chafin. They got Andrew Chafin.
Andrew Chafin. Yeah, I said they're gonna need some baby powder because they're gonna be chafing. It was my deadline update. Look, it's a God-given gift. A non-QB will win NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, GTFO or oh yeah, Pat Boyle.
I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, I think there's a chance. Because again, you've got Marvin Harrison Jr. and if he puts up the numbers that I think a lot of people think he could put up with Kyler Murray, again, very capable quarterback, he's probably going to win the award, right? I mean, he's pound for pound the best player coming out of that draft. So you look at the QB rookies, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May. Those guys obviously have the best shots to do it. Caleb Williams is the favorite or has the shortest odds to win it. But again, Sean, I don't think he's going to be very good. You don't think he's going to be very good. So if Jaden Daniels puts up tremendous numbers for Washington, sure, he'll have a chance to win it. But Marvin Harrison definitely has a chance. I know you think Malik Neighbors has a chance to win the award.
Yeah.
I think there is legitimate as much of a chance that a receiver, one of the rookie wide receivers, wins NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year than the same thing as a quarterback. So I'm going to go, oh yeah.
I'm going, oh yeah, too. To me, I think one of 3 people is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, and it's going to be either Jaden Daniels, because I think he's going to have the longer leash in Washington. I'm not sure that, and I love Drake May's upside. I'm not sure New England's quite ready like that. I think Jaden Daniels could have an RG3-esque rookie year, hopefully not ending with the same horrible injury. I'm just talking about more longevity. I like Jaden a lot. And I'm with you on Harrison, and I am going to be with you on Neighbors. Now, little insider, the reason I believe in Neighbors isn't just his talent and his God-given ability. The Giants have been thirsting for a player for this long, and they are going to, especially with Brian Daboll now calling the plays, go above and beyond the telegraphing and scripting of plays where Malik Neighbors is going to, by virtue, touch the ball an ungodly amount compared to other rookies, including Marvin Harrison. And that includes both, like the quick screen game, everything like that. The ball, I think, will be in Malik Neighbors' hands more than any other non-QB rookie in the NFL this year. Now, the defenses get hip to that? What happens touchdown-wise? Of course, all of that. But the question is, does the non-QB win? I think either Harrison or Neighbors are going to be very much in play there, so I have to say, oh, yeah.
All right, I'll give you. Okay. I'll tee you up for this one here first, Sean, because I know what your answer is going to be. GTFO or oh yeah, the Chargers will finish worse than second in the AFC West.
I still say GTFO. I still say GTFO.
I
just think the AFC West is no, because ultimately I think the Raiders are going to be in a spot where they're going to sell at the deadline. I do think Devontae Adams gets moved. And it's not a knock on AP. I think the Broncos are going to be dog turd central. So for me, I'm already putting them in last place. I don't believe in Bo Nix. I think they're just going to have a problem all year long. And they could be selling at the deadline too with a Patrick Surtain, something like that. They get a hole. Yeah, I think that you're probably looking at a 9-win Charger team where the Raiders are 7 or 8 wins ultimately. So I don't think it's like a sexy Charger year, but I think they will finish second.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. And again, remember, they finished last, 5 wins, that abysmal season last year. Jimmy Harbaugh is a winner. He's proven it. Went to the Super Bowl, won a national championship. He will get the most out of this Chargers roster. Again, a very weak wide receiver room. I admit it. But a defense that I think he's going to get the most out of. And again, since they did finish last, they get a very, very weak schedule where they play Carolina, Denver, obviously, who's in their division, but Carolina, Arizona, New Orleans, Tennessee, Atlanta, who is expected to be a lot better, New England, and, of course, Vegas twice, first week and the last week. So I agree with you. I mean, I'm not rooting for any coach to get fired more than I'm rooting for Sean Payton to get fired in Denver. And yeah, I just still think you look at the quarterback situation in Vegas and you look at pound for pound, each team here, you stack up the Chargers and the Raiders. Again, you think Herbert's going to have that lingering foot issue that opens the door for the Raiders to be better. I don't see it happening. I think the Chargers finish second. I think they either make the playoffs by a game or they miss it by a game. It's going to come down to the final week for them.
The good news is we didn't get to a couple questions that felt like traps to make us fight. And I'll just end with this, Pat, before we get to our best bets of the day. Malik Neighbors will finish with the most yards of any rookie wide receiver in the NFL this year. The question is, who's third? Xavier Worthy. All right. It is Betql's 5-Star Weekend. We continue next.
BetQL 5-Star Weekend will be back on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM. Welcome back to BetQL 5-Star Weekend on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM.
It's BetQL's 5-Star Weekend presented by BetMGM. What a fun show it's been. Patty, did we ever hit the Djokovic bet?
Are you
Did you
kidding
bring
me?
that up on the air and I forgot?
Yes, we're literally on the air when I gave a full 2.5 minute breakdown of him winning and what that means. And then you were getting pissed because I said 3 weeks to the U.S. Open, and you're like, oh yeah, more tennis. Yeah, Djokovic won, so we cashed a live bet in the show, and you cashed it within there's nothing better than placing a live bet and it cashes within an hour, if not less. And that happened for us. Placed it in the middle of the second set, and he ended up winning the match basically 40 minutes later, if that. So yes, Djokovic beat Alcaraz to win the gold medal, and that was that.
All right. Well, are you ready to give out some winners here to end the show, Pat? Who doesn't love winners?
Losers don't like winners. So for any losers that are listening or watching us right now, I would suggest turn the volume down, turn the phone off, turn the radio down. For any winners, people that like winners, I would say just
We win.
put your ear a little closer to the radio, a little closer to your phone, keep your eyes peeled, and get ready because they're coming.
You know what? You're funny. You say you put your ears to the window. Has anybody ever had an honest discussion about how disgusting cauliflower ear is for wrestlers? I mean, what happens there?
It's gross. It's gross. My high school was a big wrestling high school, so a lot of my friends were wrestlers. Dude, they're disgusting. Disgusting. All the rolling around on the mat and all the bacteria that you get in your skin, the ringworm, that's in your ear, and then it never goes away. That stays with you.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's one of those things nobody talks about enough. It's disgusting. All right. Anyway, let's give out some D-Gen bets. It's D-Generation bets.
I might be a year older. I might be a little grayer. But at the end of the day, I'm still a degenerate.
I want to tell you right now, as I finish chewing a chicken cutlet hero, I was disgusted on Thursday night. Disgusted when at halftime the over hit of the Hall of Fame game after I gave you the under, which had hit 4 of the previous 5 years. Disgusted. And I was even more disgusted by the fact that if you bet a side in that game, you were able to get your bet voided because it was ended prematurely due to the storm. But because if you bet the over under, that cashed already, and they had already, you won, you lost bets. That was the only bet you placed in that game that you didn't get your money back on the storm. So that stunk. That wasn't a lot of fun. I know because I bet it like an idiot, and I'm sorry. So I'm going to try to do better with you. Pat, I'm going to start with a very bright futures bet. I told you, I started the show Bears under 8.5. So I'm going through all my futures bets here, and I found one I like that I think is just degenerate enough. What do we all do as human beings when the football season's about to start? We give our Super Bowl prediction, don't we? And 99 times out of 100, you're wrong. But when you actually bet it and you put money on it, there is nothing more degenerate than that, right? I mean, maybe betting cricket and darts is, but I'm going to give you my Super Bowl bet that you can get odds on right now. Not a winner, just a straight up bet. I am betting the Cincinnati Bengals and the Green Bay Packers to go play in the Super Bowl at plus 7,500 odds right now, right there. Now everybody's going to go Niners and a few will go Lions. And to me, I could totally hear the conversation for both. I want to go a little off the wall here. And I still think the Lions, that's hard to recover from what happened to them in that NFC Championship game in that collapse. But I'm going to buy the Jordan Love stock. And I'm going to buy the, oh my God, the Packers made a Super Bowl before Aaron Rodgers stock. Give me the Packers and Joe Burrow and the Bengals Super Bowl plus 7,500 is the bet.
I like that. I don't hate that at all. I mean, it's high odds, obviously high value. I like the Packers character arc here, Jordan Love, and I'm very high on him. I think he has a chance to win the MVP this year. Bengals feel like they are destined for a big bounce back season. If there's going to be somebody that dethrones the Chiefs, it's a team that's already beaten them before. I like that. Shawnee, I've got a lot of Olympics bets here for you. These are ones I'm putting like $10 on each. But I've been locked into the Olympics. So I got a couple Olympics track and field races that are going to finish either today or tomorrow, Tuesday, actually, at the latest. But 2 of these are going to finish, I believe, today. So we got the fastest race in all of sports. It's the men's 100-meter final. And last week, I actually gave you this bet thinking that the track was starting a lot sooner. And I said, all right, we'll visit back on this. And that was Keshawn Thompson of Jamaica to win the men's 100-meter. It's basically him and Noah Lyles, our American man, who are the big favorites to win this race. And I believe, I don't have it here in front of me certain, but I believe last week Keshawn Thompson was like minus 120. They were basically a coin flip between the two of them. And I said, I'm going against the American, going against Noah Lyles. I don't think he has what it takes. And he ran a very underwhelming preliminary race yesterday, a 10:04, where he literally had to turn on the jets for the final 30 meters. Otherwise, he wasn't going to qualify for the semifinals. Semifinals are kicking off today at 2 p.m. Eastern, and then the final is going to be right around 4 p.m. Eastern, if not like a couple minutes before that. So you get the semis, and then you get the final in the span of 2 hours in the men's 100-meter final. And I'm sticking with Keshawn Thompson. He's up to minus 165 now to win this race on BetMGM. Not sure I would touch it at those odds, but I gave it out last week. I'm sticking with it. $10, maybe a little bit more if I'm laying the juice. If you do want to bet Keshawn Thompson, I'm fading USA. If you like the American, you want to go USA. You want to root for him. Hopefully make up for Sha'Carri Richardson losing the women's 100-meter final yesterday. Maybe you put a couple bucks on the American Noah Lyles, but I don't think he's winning this race. I think Keshawn Thompson of Jamaica is going to beat him. Got another one for you. Women's 200-meter final. I'm going with the dog here. I'm going with the woman who won the 100-meter yesterday, who beat Sha'Carri Richardson. That's Julian Alfred of St. Lucia. She's got the second highest odds. It's an American that's got the highest odds, Gabby Thomas. And I don't know. It's a different race, obviously twice as long as the 100-meter. Julian Alfred was 0.2. She was 0.2 of a second slower than what Gabby Thomas ran in the qualifying. But yeah, it's plus 175. I'll take a chance that Julian Alfred has that confidence that in those last couple of meters, she can kick it up, turn on the jets, and beat another American to win the final. And then the basically it's the 1,500. It's just shy of a mile. This is something they did a nice little promo for, and like these guys like actually hate each other. And this is what I'm talking about, Sean. I'm never bothering to watch track and field outside of the Olympics. But, you give a little background. You tell me that these two guys hate each other. You show me a couple of sound clips of them talking trash, and I'm into it. So I'm waiting. The semifinals today. The final's not till Tuesday. So this is one you got to wait a couple days for. But give me the dude from Britain. Give me Josh Kerr to beat the dude from Norway, Ingebrigtsen or whatever his name is. Josh Kerr's plus 120. And I was watching that race yesterday. For the first, 4 laps or 16 laps? Up until the very end, he was in the back of the pack, and then this dude just turned on the freaking jets and blew everybody away. I think he wins it, plus 120. So in the 1,500, give me the dude from Britain, Josh Kerr. How about that? 3 Olympics bets for D-Gen bets. That's D-Gen. You want D-Gen, Sean? You're getting it.
That's D-Gen. I hope for your sake he's a great Briton. All right, we got a couple bets to rip through. Let's quickly get to your Sunday scaries.
The weekend is almost over, but there's still time to place just one more bet. Don't panic. There's still time to win it all back. It's time for the Sunday Scaries.
By the way,
here we go. 5 leg.
Just to cut you off really quickly. You see who won the gold in golf?
Yeah, Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah. Scotty wins it again.
Scotty doesn't know. All right,
Scotty
5 legs, 24 to 1 odds. You know what's happening for Atlanta today? He's free to do what he wants to do. Max Fried is off the IL and starting here versus the Miami Marlins. Give me the Braves on the money line today versus the Marlins, who have been totally decapitated as a roster. Paul Skeens, I gave this one as a straight bet. It's going to join my Sunday Scaries over 7.5 Ks versus the D-backs today. A little fluffer nutter for you. I'm just going to take Bobby Witt Jr. to record a hit, not asking much. That ends up panning the odds a little bit for you. That's leg number 3. Leg number 4 is a dingbat bet for me. Byron Buxton to hit a home run versus Chris Flexen. And last but not least, another fluffer nutter. Give me the Dodgers on the money line today in Oakland versus the A's. So 2 money line bets, Braves and Dodgers, and 3 player props. Bobby Witt Jr. to record a hit, Byron Buxton to hit a home run, and Paul Skeens over 7.5 Ks. Guys, I really love this. I really love this. 24-1 odds for those 5 legs. It's not asking a lot to happen for you. Obviously, Buxton would be the big one there to hit a home run. Let's let it ride. Patty, give us some beef.
Yeah, I save these for special occasions, and I think today is a perfect spot. Watching, if you have watched Chicago White Sox baseball, I apologize. It has been absolute torture, and it's now gotten to the point where they have sold off most of their pieces. They are a skeleton of a team. They were bad before. They're even worse now. And this is a spot where you just got to take advantage and put together a little run line ladder. So I got beef with just how pathetic the Chicago White Sox are, how pathetic of an organization they are. And I'm going to be looking to take advantage of them today. I got beef with the White Sox. Boyle's beef bet.
This is Pat Boyle's beef bet of the week. I'm angry. I'm ready. I need to bet. It's Pat Boyle's beef bet of the week on the bet.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Sean, they're rolling out Chris Flexen today. I mean, this is a guy that has basically bounced between this and the Korean League for the last couple of years here. So the White Sox are going to roll him out for a start here today. We're going to take advantage. We're going to take the Twins on the run line, which is minus 135 on BetMGM. And then we're going to ladder. We're going to take a minus 2.5 as well at plus 110. And that's all BetMGM is showing me right now. They're not giving me the Twins minus 3.5. They're not giving me the Twins minus 4.5. But I'm going to be shopping around, and I'm going to be taking the Twins to win this game up to 5 runs. I just think this is going to be a total beatdown. I think the White Sox are a pathetic team. They're going to roll out Chris Flexen, who's probably not going to make it out of the 3rd inning today. You know what? Here you go, Chicago White Sox. You want to put out a double-A ball? Forget it, triple-A. You want to put out a double-A ball club here? By the way, the Twins won yesterday 6-2. And they won the day before that 10-2. So they've won by 8 and they've won by 4. I think it's another lopsided game today. We're gonna ladder run line against the White Sox, and if they're gonna roll out a horrible team, we're gonna take some money off them.
All right. Thanks to Kenny. Thanks to Dan. Thanks to Amir. And thank you to the audience. Pat, another Sunday in the books. Summer wind came a-blowing in, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.
You've been listening to the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM. If you missed any of the shows, listen back anytime on the new and improved Odyssey app.
All right.